I don't want to be left in this place. I confess my sins again and again, brought down to my knees. Please, Father, set me free. I know you see all the pain inside me. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I'm a sinner, from cradle to grave. Jesus, I hope it is I that you save. The tears I've cried regarding my life, please, Lord, don't cut me out of the book of life. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. My repentant heart bleeds, my spirit cries. I'm completely dying inside. My sins are great. I dread the fire lake. Forgive me. What will it take? Reach for me, oh Lord, in my weakest moment. All of thy own. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I am guilty and filthy. Forgive me, take this pain away. I know I stray. My soul is tired with heavy burdens, no clergyman redemption. I stand alone, my sins ingrained into my bones. Heaven or hell, where will my soul dwell? Eternity is waiting for me. Jesus, I beg, have mercy on me. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. Rosarium, Mater Maria, potensni miuve.
Either one. All right, folks. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. This is the real reality, right, folks? Let's get started here. Sorry for the late start, man, but it is Super Bowl Sunday, and honestly, I didn't watch I saw one little snap I saw one play that led to a field goal, I guess, from Seahawks, and that was it. That's the extent of what I watched. I didn't get to see it live. I saw it on a replay. We were very, very busy. I don't know. How do you describe Super Bowl Sunday to people that don't? When you run a security business, how do you?
Drunk.
It's like
Well, that's not what's one word, but
like how like everybody's like big holiday is like Christmas. Think of the inversion of Christmas, like the opposite. It's like a negative holiday. That's what Super Bowl Sunday is like doing its security business. That's what it's like for us. So this is like our anti-Christmas, our anti-holiday right here. So we had a bunch of noise complaints and a bunch of
it's worse than
problems
Halloween.
that had to be addressed. Yeah, well, yeah,
It's
definitely
always
wasn't
worse
Halloween.
than Halloween. Like Halloween could be rough. Like you could get some stuff on Halloween, and you'll be like, man, this is, it sucks because you got all these people, the parties and the drinking and the noise and aggravation. But Super Bowl Sunday is 100% at these apartment complexes. They have these. Every one of our apartment complexes. I just realized this. They all have a sky lounge.
Yeah.
Every one of them. Only one of them calls it that, a sky lounge. The rest of them call it. I'm not even going to get into. Well, no, one of them calls
one of them calls it something
really,
stupid.
really stupid. I don't want to say it because people might know.
It'll give it away.
They'll give it away because it's so dumb. But it's so like
it's sad.
That whole complex is made for like women.
Yeah.
It's like the Lifetime Movie Network complex.
Yeah.
Right. But yet we're always getting abuse complaints there from.
Yeah.
And I'm not laughing about the abuse, believe me.
A Lifetime original apartment complex.
Yes, a Lifetime original. There you go. It was him or us. Well, you could just not be with him. Yeah, no, I could never do that. I you don't
understand.
He needs me.
You don't understand. I have to be with bums and losers.
Yeah, and that particular complex, I was talking to our field captain the other day that works for us, and she's a female, and I talked to her and I said, how come that complex gets so many damn domestic calls? Like the other day, we had a call, and it was a guy that was dragging his girlfriend down the hallway, literally, and so the guard had to go up there and deal with that, and of course at that point it was already, I guess he had stopped doing that, and she was now covering for him and pretending like it didn't happen, and we were like, no, it was on camera. Like several people witnessed it, so don't act like it didn't happen. And the guy was just acting like like he didn't do anything. But it's crazy because everything in that complex is like the gym there is very like effeminate. You notice that? There's no real weights. It's kind of like if you were to be like CrossFit and not really into
CrossFit
fitness.
meets curves. Remember
CrossFit CrossFit meets not being into fitness. That's what I think.
Well, that's kind of redundant.
Just take the take the fit out.
Yeah.
And just call it
crisscross.
Crisscross makes you jump. That's it.
They just have like a swing set.
Because all they got is like some like bands and ropes and pulleys, and then I don't know what they're for. And then they have the treadmills. Because women love the treadmills and the stair climbers, and
then they have the folding chairs for so you can dance around like that movie Flashdance. Yeah. Lots of folding chairs.
So they have a room. Their Sky Lounge is called something really goofy. And then they have another room where you can go in and use like the business center, and they call that something really goofy. And I'm thinking, what dude is going to live here?
Oh no!
Like especially if you're like a single dude, and you're like playing the field and stuff. These other women are probably going to come down on you because how dare you be running around with all these different women? Yes. And the reason I know this is because I worked there one night, and this one woman came to me and complained about a single male who had a different woman in his room all the time. She did. She really did. She really did. Oh, and for those that don't know, this is just the beginning until we can get 300 people, whatever. So I was just sitting there going like, what? So I was like, ma'am, I'm not really understanding the problem. She goes, and he's playing football all day. It's loud. Especially on like Saturday and Sunday. I'm like, it's kind of when football happens. She's like, yeah, I've complained to the management about it. He's just he's very toxic. That's what she said. And I was like, is he abusing people? No, but he has a dog that barks sometimes, and I just wonder what he could be doing to the dog. Because anybody that's
Yeah, if your dog barks, it's
a
because
male
you're
and you're
abusing it.
you're obviously toxic and probably shouldn't have a dog, and
Yeah,
probably shouldn't have female neighbors.
especially if you're like a straight white and vaguely Christian, then who knows?
Vaguely. And in Austin, that's as close as you get to
Yeah.
vaguely Christian.
I mean, you could be up to
Yeah, it
anything,
was-
really.
It was weird, man. I was just sitting there kind of going like, what is the so what's your complaint about,
He's just a bit man for me.
He's just too much of a man, and this complex is really just complex for women,
Yeah. It's a
So-
Lifetime original complex.
Yeah.
You just
so-
tell
so
him to.
You can imagine the complaints we got when there were actually dudes and women, but upstairs on the room, I don't even want to say what they call it, is so stupid. And if you're a man, let me tell you something, and you walk around that complex and you don't see the color scheme and you don't see like the names of the rooms and what they call the different rooms, and you don't see the way they decorate it and you don't notice it. I mean, like, dude, come on. You deserve what you deserve. If you move into that place as a single male, you get what you get.
It's like living in Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
There's even like this creepy ass, like tall, like almost 6-7 foot tall statue out in like this courtyard,
Mhm.
just standing there, just creeping you out. Every time I walk by it, I'm like, I feel like that thing's
Yeah,
watching.
their
me.
artistic expression is
Yeah.
bizarre.
Artistic.
Also, if you notice, like there's a woman's bathroom and then there's a gender neutral bathroom.
It's for aliens.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, so if you're a woman, you have the bathroom, but if you're a woman, you have a bathroom. And then if you're a dude, you have that one.
Dudes have a bucket out back, like a hole.
I'm sitting
you
there
know?
going like, hey, hey, they pay us whatever, but I wouldn't live there. Like you couldn't pay me to live. Like if you paid me, you said, Wolf, I'll pay you $2,000 a month to live there. I would be like, gonna pass. Sorry. I did find a cardboard box that I could live in down on Congress. I think I'll be fine.
It's a
Thank you.
premium cardboard box, so
Yeah.
it says it right there on the box, premium.
It's not one of the moving ones that break
Yeah.
through. How come the moving ones break so easy? That's the thing.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
That really
sense.
aggravates me.
But like a box that you get like something this small, you'll get it in a box this big, and it's the sturdiest box ever.
What is it? The hats.
Yeah,
Or like you buy one hat like this and they send it in a giant box.
You buy like 7 hats
Yeah,
and they send you
there's 7 boxes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The entire forest has to die so you can have a hat. Like it's really crazy. I don't know. Anyways, enough of that. We're just sitting here BS. And so, guys, if you're not on the Patreon, you got to join the Patreons. $10, $20, $40, $50 tier. Bless you. My
Thank you.
gosh, you're going to keep sneezing. Do it again.
I might save it for later. I don't have to sneeze now, but I might save it for later.
We'll just in case, we'll just wait.
I can't right now.
Go ahead. Oh, we're watching them. We gotta look
It's Sneeze Watch 2026.
It's not. It's like
I choose
like
to
when your
defer
dog
my
pees.
sneeze to the beginning of the second
Okay.
quarter, like
Alright.
football. So, speaking of, you called it, and everyone watching here,
Oh, yeah.
let me pull it up. You see that? Look at that. Guess who called that? Guess who called that? I hope you I hope you put your money on that, like Wolf said, because
No, we
Oh,
did.
if you did, then
if anyone's
then
surprised.
you're ahead financially. You made money if you listened and said, hey, I'm gonna put some money on the Seahawks.
If anyone didn't think that the Seahawks were gonna win, you're either a Giants fan or delusional.
Yeah.
I mean, but you really did call. Like I don't know how many times. I've never known you to be wrong. It's like, for instance, gold and silver's back up, like exactly how you mentioned. So
I told you how it was going to go down, too.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Like, okay, check this out. So I was looking before we got started. So you see this graph? You see that little black line there? That right there is when Wolf was like, hey, don't panic. As a matter of fact, buy more gold. And now look at the graph. It's all the way up here. And then let me show you what happened to silver. Same thing. See that black line there? That's when Wolf said, hey, don't panic. Don't sell your silver if you have any. Buy more. And now look at the graph. See?
Wolf
Man knows
told
what
you.
he's talking about.
I called it.
You said you're gonna make a profit if you buy right now instead
right.
of selling.
Right now, what I'm going to encourage everybody to do, and I'm going to tell you something, but first I want to show Evan Tabaldo. You see that? The Clink Room. I have a relationship with the Clink Room, actually. They actually write me personal letters, like personal whatever, because I do buy a lot of hats
We
from
buy a
them.
lot of hats from them. They
Yeah,
have
and
really.
they actually gave me a free hoodie, but it
You-
don't fit me. The
You're
biggest
right.
is-
I mean, they have a lot of cool designs.
Yeah, they do, Evan. I met one of the guys that actually, he works on the Fresh Colorways, and I met him at Hula Hut here in Austin. And I told him, I said, I like your hats. So I'm going to try and work something with them because we have some designs. Tony, I'm not going to say he's a graphics art designer, but he taught himself how to create, like he made our stickers. What are you doing?
Go ahead. Continue.
Is he okay?
I mean, the answer to that's always no, but I mean,
I look over, he's going, oh, like he's, but he's still doing it. What is wrong? Are you
Just
Stevie Wonder
continue.
now?
You go ahead. Say what you were saying.
What is he crying?
he never does anything right. So, like the praise, he takes it where he can get it.
Oh, okay.
He
I get it.
starved
Yeah,
for it.
because he doesn't do much.
It's like
correct.
starving Marvin.
Yeah, he doesn't do much correct. Yeah. Okay, starving Marvin. This is what we call appetizers. This is what you eat to make you more hungry. No, so here's the thing. Tony is a bit of a graphics art designer, and so he created our Bear King sticker, right? He took that and put it onto a sticker, but then he made the sticker and the design for the Flying Dutchman for Paranormal Sound Table. If you're not subscribed, please like and subscribe here. Like and subscribe at the Paranormal Sound Table, which is Nellie's music, and also go to her channel, Dead Zone Transmissions. And my throat is. I had some of those lozenges, dude.
We keep forgetting.
Jeez. The hats fell. Let's get. Oh, we're not. The screen is gone. It's asking me a question that I can't answer. There it goes. Thank you for that donation. Evan Tabal, thank you for that donation. Our first and only donation of the night. See, everybody's salty now. You're like, oh, I'm not going to give you anything. I didn't make no money off gold, silver. You know what I'm saying?
These were all Patriots fans.
Yeah, they were all Patriots fans.
Yeah.
They're all butthurt. I gave a guy 7 points. I gave the Patriots 7 points, and you know what he did? He laughed. He's like, oh, it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game. I said, yeah, it will be for about 2 quarters. Didn't I say that?
Yeah.
And I said, and then you're going to lose your money. I did him a favor. He wanted to give. I say give. That's not right. Chris, I'm not going to say that about you. My friend Chris wanted to donate. That sounds even worse. I'm not going to lie. It was funny. He wanted to do $1,000, you know, because he goes, you do 7 points. I want to do $1,000. I said, let's do 500. I said, because I feel bad, Chris, I'm taking your money.
Want to be nice.
It's a guy I grew up with. He messaged me in the fourth quarter. He was like, F it. I told him, I said, whatever you do, just don't go take a nail gun and go end it.
It took him that long?
And he's like, well, I would never do that. I know. No, I mean, like, don't go out there and end whatever home improvement project. Don't do it right now while you're distraught.
They didn't score till the fourth quarter.
Messed up, man. Oh, he messaged me. He knew it was over though. It was 2 minutes left. Come on, dude. Even if they scored, it was turn out the lights. Party's over. You want your 7 points? You got your 7 points. I look. Here's the thing, right? I called it, and then I ran at the last minute, and I said, dude, look, and I did this in the NFC Championship, and I won big time against a bunch of dirty whiner fans that were so stupid. They were like, take my money, and I'm like, okay. Made $1,200 off of that. I was like, okay. And then the next week, there were a bunch of people like, yeah, but the Rams are good, man. The Rams are good. They beat the Bears. I was like, you're basing it on that? I said, okay. But I was smart about the Rams game. I didn't give them a bunch of points, but I said, okay, we'll do this. And I said, all right, we did it. I gave up some points, but not a ton. What was the final to the Rams game when they played the Rams and the Seahawks?
I don't know. Let me see.
I gave up like 3 points or what was it? Let me see what I did. I think it was
27-31.
3.5. I think it was 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 4 points.
So it's 4 points. Yeah. So I gave up 3.5 points, and I barely squeaked by on that one. But I only put 2. I only let people bet me on two on those. All right. And it's just friendly, whatever. And I told them, I said, look, man, I didn't even want to do it. I said, you know what? And what did I say about the Rams? I said the Rams were the only team that had a chance because they were a division rival and they're a pretty decent team. And I felt like that was going to be the only chance that the Seahawks would not get to the Super Bowl is if they played the Rams. I said that at the beginning of the playoffs, didn't I? And they played the Rams, and everybody wanted to come at me and be like, come on, bro. And I only took 2 bets, and they weren't huge. So I made about 300 on that. And then I just took it all. And there was a parlay, and I rolled it all into the parlay, and I put everything I made in the playoffs. And this is the first time I've actually really just done this in a while. And so I hate to say this, but, I got to come clean. I did actually put money against the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
You look at y'all looking at me. I like the Texans. Look, I'm a Texans fan. Look, I'm a Texans fan, but
money's money.
Yeah, I just figured, you know what? It wasn't a whole lot, but if I lose, then the Texans win. Hey, it's worth the loss, right? You win it. Because at that point, I knew we were going to Super Bowl if we won because Bo Nix was out and the Broncos, whoever played them was going to beat them. It would have been worse if the Texans would have done it because their defense would have destroyed that guy. That quarterback had a chance against the Patriots. Patriots aren't that good, bro. Patriots got lucky because what's his name hurt his hand at the beginning of the game. Stroud.
You broke his finger.
Yeah, he got hurt in the first quarter, dude. That's when nobody was talking about that except for Aikman said he thought that was what was going on. So here's what happened. In case you decide you want to make money, who did I pick to win the college football championship week 10 of college? What did I do?
Indiana.
And I put everything on Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And every week, everybody kept asking me if I was feeling nervous about it because Miami was some kind of – I didn't feel – even when Miami had – you know what? Even when they had a chance and it looked like they might be able to – I still did not – I was not a bit nervous. I did not believe that was going to happen. When you talk about a team of destiny, Indiana was a team of destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I know sports. I know how it works. And I, to the end, had people call my friend. He's a big Miami guy. My friend Danny down there, Danny C down in Miami. He called me up. He said, hey, man. He's Cuban, right? Well, he's Cuban and Italian. He says, hey, man, you want to change your mind, man? It's not too late. It's before the game, right? I said, why would I change my mind, Danny? I said, dude, double it. I opened my big mouth. I said, double. He did, though. I said, go ahead. Dude, put it. You're a big Miami fan. Watch what happens. They're going to lose. And he said, it's a close game, man. I said, no matter how close it is, Danny, at the end of the game, you're going to be broken. I'm not. I hit every one of my bets. The only one that I didn't hit on was A&M stupid ass against Miami. I actually thought that they would do it. Stupid. Never bet on A&M. I can't stand the Aggies, and there's a reason. They just cannot. They're the biggest losers, biggest underachievers. Texas A&M just dog shit.
What is it when you pretend to be like an army person? You pretend you were in the service, like you wear all this stuff.
Stolen valor?
Stolen valor. They do that same with the championships. Stolen championships.
Two of them, yeah, from the 20s. They claim that they went on a computer and simulated it, and I'm like, what in the hell are you? I've been there. I've been to their wretched school a couple times and looked at the wall, and it's on there. Yep. Like, why would you put that on there when you weren't the national champions? What are you talking about? Because the computer say. Get out of here, man. Anyway, the whole point is this. I called Indiana. I said they were going to win it, and I said, I don't care. People were like, what about Georgia? I said, Georgia could get beat by another SEC team. The SEC, they play each other all the time. They know each other. Don't be careful whenever it's a division rival in football or if it's a conference rival in college football. You don't ever you don't know what could happen because those teams know each other very well. And what did I say when Ole Miss played Georgia? They beat them. But then I told everybody, I said, Ole Miss coming out flat. They're going to lose to Miami because their emotional bubble was the week before it burst. And they won. But guess what? They lost to Miami. And didn't I say after that, Miami was going to run the table until they got to Indiana, and then they were going to lose. Now, honestly, I thought they were going to lose by more than they did.
It was a closer game than
Beck's a good quarterback, but don't get me wrong. He's not going to beat that team. That Indiana team, I think it was a major flex for the country because Indiana says, we have money. We got lots of money. Watch what happens with this UIL thing. What is it called? The NIL, whatever it is, where they can give them the money.
Yeah, when they can pay them.
Yeah, they paid them. They said, watch what we do. Indiana's like, oh, we can pay the people now? Oh, okay, hold my beer. Watch what I do. And then they paid those boys, and they got good players. And if all these Texas Longhorn fans, shut up. Let me tell you something. I'm a Longhorn fan. Don't tell me, oh, yeah, if we'd have been there, it would have been different. You would have got your ass beat. Shut up and sit down, okay? Shut up. I hate Longhorn fans sometimes. I mean, I'm a Longhorn fan. They're like the Cowboys fans. You're going to a Super Bowl. We won the first game of the season. We're on a roll. Shut the F. Do you know who the owner is? Have you seen the alien that runs the team? Do you know? You see what he looks like, right? That's Mr. Botox. In fact, it's not proven 100%, but we do think that Jerry Jones invented Botox back in the 70s. It's a patent that I was working on, and I knew that I was going to need it one day, and now
70 BC or
He's been old for like 40 years.
He was old when he bought the Cowboys. He was old. And now let me tell you something. We don't know that he's drinking adrenochrome. We don't know that I know he's not in the Epstein files, but he's probably asked though.
Yeah.
He said, you know what you could do if you bring Epstein out here. If you could bring that here, then we could talk. Let's bring it to Texas. Bring it to Texas or Arkansas, maybe Arkansas. And then we could talk. And Epstein's like, yeah, I'm just trying to, get pictures of you for the Mossad. I don't know what this is. And then he just goes on, and I'm going to go eat some people now. Okay. That's how I think that conversation went down. And Jerry's like, okay, well, let me know, though. Let me know. I'll be watching you. With his stretched out face. Clive Barker. They cut his face, and there's a leather face. He's basically Ed Gein.
Like the bad guy from Men in Black when he pulls his face back.
Yeah. What do we got? 275. Almost there. Here's the thing. The Super Bowl, I called it. It was a boring, stupid, shitty Super Bowl until the very end. Very boring, nothing but field goals. And not one time did my heart beat fast because I knew the Seahawks were going to win. Didn't I told you that?
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the score about 2 or 3 times, and I said, yeah, that's it. And I won my money. And I rolled everything I had. And I said, here's everything I had. Everything I made from the college playoffs, everything I made from the freaking, the whole, everything. I put everything into Seattle. And then I took a side bet from a friend who wanted to give me like $1,000. I did him a favor. I said, dude, trust me. Plus, I'm not going to be mean, Chris, but you'll take forever to pay me. He'll pay me the $500, right? Straight up. I know he has that. $1,000. Oh, I'll give you $250 this week and a hamburger next Tuesday. I'm not doing that, Chris. I've known Chris forever. Chris would be like, come on now, man. Don't give me that
Make
shit.
monthly payments of $19.95.
I do not want to hit you in the face, Chris. Chris like, you ain't going to hit me in the face? Yeah, I would. Face, breast, chest, neck, and head area. But that's it. That is it. I'm kidding, Chris. I'm joking. We used to fight together, but Chris knows. Like, I'd be like on CB4. They have my money, punching the corpse.
Yeah.
It's laying there in the freaking coffin. They have my money, man. I used to be that way. I'm not that way now. I'm like, there's a million people owe me money now. There's a million people out there owe me money. I don't even care. Unless there's some major corporation and they're going to give me my money. Regular people, I'm not, what is it, Debo? I'm not running around or Deboing people. Hey, you will give me my money. Boy, where my money at?
Debo's coming.
Debo's coming. Kidding? I'm like, dude, I'm not doing all that. But that's it, folks. That's what I did. I took everything, the whole farm, and I put it on Seattle. The people that run our automotive shop, she's a big Patriot. I told her, do not put a penny on the Patriots. I said, do yourself a favor and put it on the Seahawks. So then if you lose, you're sad that the Patriots lost. But, hey, You got to put your money. I made $300 on the Texans losing. I just didn't trust it, man. I didn't trust Stroud or the offense, and I was right. But yeah, there it is, folks. There you have it. And gold and silver, I told you to hold. And I bought a bunch of copper. And now these two can tell you, y'all were unloading all this copper. You're like, what are we doing with all this copper?
Yeah.
Tell what was going through your head when we create a copper? What'd you think it was?
I thought, I don't know, like, oh, isn't this the stuff that meth heads are scrapping out
I
of
was just about to
at
say
our
that. I was just
construction
thinking,
sites?
That's their side
this from
quest.
Mets.
Yeah,
Shane
the side
Gillis.
quest.
Oh shit!
That's the exact thought I had too. I was like,
And then it went up like 5 times.
Yeah, you look over at me and I'm like, we need it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this copper. I'm gonna take this copper to Tony B. He's gonna sell it. You're like, who the hell's Tony B? Tony the Butcher. What? Y'all look at each other. Who is that? He's a guy, man, from back in the day. You don't pay him, he cut your wiener on. It's all good. We're good though. We're good. We're gonna take this copper. I've been working. I've been side quests. I've been doing side quests. I've been getting the copper. I wasn't doing all that. I'm joking, man. So what ended up happening? And then copper went up 5 times. Bam. It's gonna keep going up. It's an industrial metal, folks. Get this advice from me. Take it or leave it. But if you don't go buy platinum right now, you're crazy. And I'll tell you why. Do you know that platinum is way, way, way more rare? So is palladium. Platinum, way more rare
than gold.
Yep. Did you know that? And platinum is actually used in a lot of the same applications with all this other stuff and blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't take a whole lot for some people to buy some platinum and change the market. Thank you for everybody who's a member. Get your name in green because this Thursday we're doing a members only. Are we doing a live stream this members only, or is it a pre-record drop?
I think it should be a live stream.
A live stream, okay. So Thursday live stream, get ready for that. And Tuesday, Patreon Tuesday, Bigfoot and the Nature of Reality in New Mexico. We've done Arkansas, we've done Louisiana, and we've done Oklahoma. Okay, now we're headed to the state of New Mexico, and we're just going to keep going around doing all that. So there it is, folks. And tomorrow night we're going to have the call-in show like normal, right? But let's get back to this real quick. We got almost 300 people in here. I'm going to tell you, buy platinum. You need to buy platinum because platinum is worth about half as much as gold is right now. It is extremely undervalued, okay? What does it say in, look up one of these chat PTP, whatever the hell people use. I don't use a shit, but just look it up and see what it says, how rare platinum is compared to gold. What is it, 4 times or something like that? They keep changing it depending on how much they find.
Let's see.
Look how much it is.
Platinum is roughly 10 to 30 times rarer.
10 to
gold.
30 times. Okay. Like, oh, no, I can't. Silver, I said this. Silver is 4 to 6 times as rare as gold, not 46 times. They tried to say it was 46 times because the gold to silver ratio at one point just recently was 46 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. And that was bullshit. So there was silver is only, I've said this before, only 4 to 6 times as rare as gold. It's way undervalued. You cannot go wrong buying silver right now. I'm telling you, buy it now because it's about to shoot way up. Buy XRP too. It went on the dip and then it started to go back up. Catch it before it goes back up. So if I were you, I'm giving you some advice. This is my personal, whatever, this for entertainment purposes only, whatever. But if I were you, I would say buy platinum, buy silver. Gold is outpriced right now. I mean, you might as well forget it. But silver and platinum. Platinum is way more. They said what, 10 to 30 times?
Yeah,
That's what I mean by it changes. It fluctuates on the ore that they find.
Like so they mine 3,000 to 300 or 3,300 tons of gold a year.
Mm-hmm.
Platinum, they only mine about 170 to 200 tons a year.
I don't even think it's that much.
Yeah, it's way much harder to find.
Yeah, so it's much more rare. So, but that would only be 3 times as rare if you did the math of what you just said. See, and then this thing's saying 10 to 30 times bullshit.
Well, that's just how much is mined. And
yeah, well, and that's still though. I mean,
estimates.
how much is in circulation? Because platinum will part of it will disappear into the market and never be seen again, whereas silver does that too. But so it's definitely copper does, because they don't try to reharvest it out of these electronics. But gold, they do. Gold is a monetary metal. Okay, these others really are not. They're more industrial metals, but the industry is up there. So do yourself a favor right now. While platinum is way more rare than gold, and it is it's only worth half as much. So instead of buying gold, buy platinum and buy silver. But if you buy platinum, pull it up on your deal. Show them the assay case platinum that you can get on like eBay from what is it, JD Bullion or J? What's it called? What's it called? J Bullion.
JM Bullion.
JM Bullion, APMEX, those different places, Scottsdale. Buy from those reputable sellers. You can buy them on eBay, or you can go directly to their websites and buy the metals, precious metals. But you would not lose on platinum, because in the next couple of years, there it is right there. This is what it looks like. Oh, that's so bad. That stupid light on there, dude. Turn that light off for a minute so you can see it. There you go. See it? Now, platinum, it says that's a 1 ounce platinum bar. Where's the price at? I mean, there it is. Look at the price on that. $2,376. That's over spot, because that's on what, eBay?
Yeah.
Okay. Platinum is worth what? $22.80 something like that, I think.
Let's see.
Oh, somebody just said that it's at 2,110 per ounce. So that's way over spot.
Yep.
Yeah. So what you need to do is go and buy platinum, because if everybody starts buying platinum, guess what? It's going to go up. And it's so rare, it's not going to take a whole bunch of people to make it go up. So if everybody on the show went out and bought like 2 ounces of platinum, you could tilt the market. I'm not even joking. I'm being serious. So do that. And go and buy your silver before it gets back up into the hundreds, and you've already made like a profit. And just hang on to it once you get it. And also Nvidia, I think Nvidia is, what is it doing right now? Stock wise,
Nvidia's rallying back.
it's rallying. Catch it before it goes
after the market tanked, it started going back
Yeah,
up.
let it tank. Yeah, and it'll go back up. And then, because I told everybody, don't trust this dip. Everybody sold off. On that Friday, everybody was like, they started selling, and I'm like, you don't be monkeys, dude. Come on, man. So, the platinum is definitely, why do you think back in the day it was a gold card was good, but platinum card was better? Now everybody's got a platinum card, Platinum is the gold standard, right? Get it? From whatever. There's a reason. Because platinum is way more rare. Now, I don't think it's 10 to 30 times as rare as gold. Tony just said it right there. It's about 3 to 4, in my opinion, at the rate that they're mining it, it's 3 to 5 times, somewhere in there. What's on the market, though, may be 8 to 10 times. That's my opinion. And, of course, silver, I don't believe that about silver. I think that London, the Rothschilds were yeah, they're manipulating it. And if you're interested in that about the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all those different, we recorded with Joel yesterday.
Yeah.
Joel. And Joel, very interesting guy. He's a Jewish guy, and he goes into major, major detail about Judaism, the roots of it, how it was hijacked by the Babylonian Talmudic people and what they do. And he goes real deep. He knows his people. He goes into the history. We get into the history. We recorded that last night, but we didn't release it. We're not going to release it for a few weeks, but be on the lookout for that. And then we get into the Enoch and the giants and all of this different stuff. And we're going to do a series on the giants coming up pretty soon. So be ready for that. And then the last thing I'm going to say before we get started here, we got over 300. What did everybody think about last night? Did you guys go and check out? Put the link to the new channel. Our new channel, the first episode was last night. Ed Gein.
True crimes, paranormal, guys.
True crime, paranormal. True crime, not true crimes with an S. True crime, paranormal, period. There's a period at the end. True crime, paranormal, period. So that's that. And I'm a happy camper today because, we won the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't like Seattle. I don't give a shit about them. I only like DeMarcus Lawrence. He's a former Cowboy. I'm glad he got his Super Bowl ring. He was never going to get it in Dallas. But, there it is. I told everybody, and I just took everything and put it in Seattle and slept like a baby because I knew it was going to be fine. And now here we are. And guess what I'm going to do with my monies? I'm going to buy platinum. And I'm going to go and I'm going to buy silver. And I'm going to invest in an XRP and NVIDIA. Every penny of that's going to go. And then I'm going to pay a little bit of bills that I got to pay. And then that's it. That's how it works. All right. And then still be broke as shit.
That's how it goes.
Because of friggin' taxes and all the other crap they do to us. So get yourself prepared, folks. That's what my advice is to you. All right. That's my advice. Now, I could be wrong. I got to put that disclaimer on there. I could be wrong, but probably not. Probably not. Do you know these guys, Tomax and Zaymont? You see their names down there? Tomax and Zaymont. That's who they are. They're twins, right? We've been friends for a long time, right? They're my investor strategists, investment strategists,
Consultants.
All right, so here's what happened. Let me get my notes here and let's get started because this is intriguing. We talked, I think, on Sunday. What was it? Sunday? Or what is today? Sunday. That was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tell them what we talked about on Wednesday. Do y'all even remember? Probably not.
What happened to the Jimenez family?
Yeah, what happened with last Wednesday? What did we talk about last Wednesday?
Hang on. I forgot all of what they encountered.
Here,
Oh, they had this this vampire thing that lived in their house.
Yeah. And there was and that goes back to the week before where we were talking about this werewolf.
Yeah, because that was like it was like a holdover or like there's like a spin-off of their werewolf encounter. This family's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Been through hell.
But this is a different family.
Yeah.
But this family has been through a lot of shit too.
Mhm.
And this is a Jimenez family. They're from San Antonio originally.
Our Cobra's accountants, David Buckles.
So if anybody knows anything about the Giants and knows what they are and who they are, and I don't know how much anybody really knows. I mean, there's people that really do know. They're in the know and they understand like that there were different races of these beings. And there were how many people in the chat know that there were more than just one race of giants? Give me your answer, yes or no. Because tonight's story is going to tie into this. And I want to give you a little backstory, a little history. Yep, everybody's saying yes. Okay, so how many people know what the Nephilim is? The Nephilim, the Nephil, which would be the Nephilim, and then the Ilho. Do you understand what that is? Does anybody know what that is? The Ilho is a type of being too. But we can call them the Eliud, okay? The Eliud is actually, and if you look up the word Eliud, it's E-L-I-O-O, it's O-U-D, sorry. So those are the three types of races of giants, and you can find this in the Book of Jubilees, which is not technically canon in the regular Bible. I say regular Bible, like the Protestant, whatever Bible, but in the Book of Enoch and in Jubilees, you can find this information. And there's also a book called the Book of Giants, and so there's all these different types of races of beings. And so if you look up the passage, see if you can look it up. I know y'all take forever to look stuff up, but if you can look it up quickly, and it talks about how this one race preyed on the next race, and then that race preyed on the next race. Are you going to look it up, or are you going to sit there?
I was looking it up.
Well, you do it too, because it takes him a long time. A lot of cool answers in here. Pre-flood progeny of fallen angels. They were once trapped between life and death.
Looks like First Enoch chapter 7 verse 3 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
These women became pregnant and they bore great giants whose height was 3,000 ells. These giants consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood.
Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. So Matt Stoyanoff says the giant slew the Nephil. Okay, so what it was is the Nephilim just destroying the Nephil, and the Nephil slew the Eliud, and the Eliud destroyed mankind and then one another. So what that means is so you have these different types of beings. The Nephilim, everybody wants to talk about the Nephilim, but that's kind of a catch-all term for all of these beings. Is really not what that is. The Nephil are the Nephilim. Those are the descendants. They're like the third generation after the Nephilim. Not to be confused with the Jan and the Jinn. This is another race of beings that were here before us. Not the case. And then there were these beings that were like titans, right? That were here. That's basically, it starts to mirror ancient mythology. I believe that the Eliud is the last race of giants, and they're still around. I think that when the Native Americans talk about the red-haired giants, that's who they're referring to. And also, I believe that there were all these different races, but then there was mixtures and mixing of races, and there was all this mixing with different types of DNA and animals and chimera. And I think that it was genetically altered. A lot of people were genetically altered. And I don't believe that when we were taught the art of war by the 200 Watchers, I don't believe this. I don't believe that it was like, oh, we were taught how to use stone axes and bow and arrows. Yeah, maybe. I think we were taught about splitting atoms. I think that when it talks about this in the Vedas of the Hindu books, it's very important to read those because it talks about the war that was in heaven, right? The thing that religion has done is it has done everything to divide us. Now, I don't think you should go and read a Hindu book and then go, oh, Brahma's God, and start worshiping. No. But I think you need to know what they have to say about it because it makes a lot of sense. It all makes sense. And when you start to put it all together, then you're going like, oh, crap, this is what happened. Right? So when you have these different types of giants, and eventually we're going to do a show, and it's going to be about that. We're going to do the whole enchilada about the giants. And I don't know, I'm thinking about actually just writing a book about that. But apparently I'm having so much trouble getting this vampire book. Folks, pray for me that we can get this done. I feel like there is something dark. I don't feel it. I know there is. There is something very dark trying to stop me with this vampire book, and it is stalling everything. This should have been done a long time ago, and everybody I've enlisted to help me has just kind of fallen off and not been able to do what they need to do. And I'm not blaming them because I do believe that there is something dark at play here. But I'm not wasting any more. I'm just going to have to sit down and try to do it myself. But at the same time, I'm trying to do a million other things. Okay. And so it's very hard. It's very hard because I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to do a lot of different things at one time, but I have to just sit there, focus, and push and get it done and hope that we can get this book out and out on Amazon and just get it done. We're so close, but it just seems like stuff just keeps popping up. I keep coming up with challenges and people not doing what they're supposed to be doing. People basically turning every chance they can away from the task at hand. And so it just, not going to get into it. I just got a lot. I just wish I had somebody reliable that could help me get this done, because everybody I've had so far up to this point has just not been able to do it. And I don't understand it. I can't, the vampire thing just really is, it's tough. It is a tough cookie. And it's because I don't want it to be another book about just the lore and the goofy legends, and some of those are cool, what they are and everything, but really truly talk about what they are and what they do. Because if you don't put that part in there, then what is the point of just talking about more encounters and, talking about, the legends and all that stuff? Yeah, that's great, whatever. What I want is what what these things are laid out there. And it just seems like every time I turn around, I'm taking 2 steps back. So that's what's going on with that. I'm struggling really, and hopefully when that's done, then I can move forward and actually get some books produced and written and getting them done. But I promise you, before I die, this will happen. It's going to happen. It's just stifling us. It's very stifling. Yeah, and Takayashi says, I don't think that they were all evil, but certainly a lot of them were demon genetics in physical form. I think multiple origins of what we call giants that can get lumped together erroneously. Yes, absolutely. One of the things, though, that is talked about when it comes to the giants, and I got to say this, they had a, I don't know what the word is. They had a rapaciousness about them. And if you look into that word, it's like aggressive, greedy. You know what I mean? That's what it means. They were very aggressive and greedy, grasping. They wanted everything. Like they had these insatiable appetites, and not the least of which was a sexual appetite. They had appetites for food, appetites for to have things that didn't belong to them. And so when you stop and you look at the nature of these beings, they were following in the footsteps of their progenitors, which would be the fallen. I'm not talking about the rebellious; they were here too. I'm talking about the fallen, the 200 that fell, the 200 that were supposed to be here to watch everything because of the rebellious, and instead they ended up doing whatever, falling into whatever. And they were punished severely for this. And their offspring were killed, and they became evil spirits for all time. That's another thing we got into last night with Joel. We talked and we had a good conversation. But right now, this coming Friday, we're doing Sage's. Did we drop Sage's first episode?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. So check that out. Sage will be, on for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be in with Joel. But I gotta say that these people, what they went through, they started out in San Antonio. Now, what happened? We'll get into it. They moved into a house, right, in Kansas City because of the dad. He had a job opportunity and he took it. He wanted to get the hell out of South San Antonio because not only were there gangs and all this other stuff, but there was something going on in his neighborhood that they couldn't explain. And I'll get into that. But first, when they moved from that area, they moved to Kansas City, and they dealt with something demonic. They moved into a house, and they thought that get this is weird. They thought that what they had left behind in San Antonio had followed them into this new house. But what they didn't realize was that the people that rented it to them, Barbara and Beatrice, the sisters, And we talked about them last week and the weekend, or last Wednesday and then last Sunday. Beatrice had a husband who said this before. He went to some kind of party or something. Supposedly, that's all he really told her.
May have drank some blood.
May have drank some blood or something from this
Mixed with
woman.
wine at an orgy.
Yeah. And then that may have caused, something bad. Oh, it did. It did. Definitely did. And then he brought something there. But this thing was separate from this other thing. So when the Jimenez family moved in, this was before Beatrice and her husband, Steve, had left their farm and gone, or ranch, and had gone back to live in that house. So the timeline is this: Beatrice and Barbara and Michael were children, and they were living there with their dad, James, and their mom. And then they had all kinds of weird stuff happen to them. They moved out, and then years later, her dad ends up in a rest home. Mother dies, and Beatrice is in charge of getting rid of the house. She decides to keep it, and she buys her siblings out because they don't want anything to do with it, and decides that I'm going to take care of it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rent it out. And Beatrice really believed that whatever was in there had been gone. And I got to say this: you know why she thought that? Because some fool went in there and burned sage and said some words. That part right there was really telling to me, and I haven't told you about this part because I wanted to make sure, because that's her friend. But she said, no, you can tell it. So her friend Karina goes in there, right? Because they're not even friends anymore, because she figured out she's full of crap. She's like, I'm a psychic. If you eat that ice cream, oh no. What is it? What's going to happen to me? Yeah. You're going to get a headache.
But only if you eat it fast.
That's going to happen. Yeah. And Beatrice is like, really? I always get an ice cream headache because I eat it too fast. Yeah, but you know what? You know what? If you eat it slower, you won't get the headache. I just saw that. I'm a psychic. So she lets this dumb person, let's be nice about it, okay? She's just misinformed, right? So she goes in there burning sage and pretending to be native when she's really just some lady. And she's like, I don't even think she's native. Her last name is like Yanoff or something. I was like, I don't think she is either. You just kind of look at her and go, oh, that doesn't look like no. Looking at the Instagram or Facebook, where she kind of looks like a white lady. But the thing to be, the hip thing now is to be, I'm native. Everybody's native. Everybody's Cherokee. There's 1 million Cherokee just in Oklahoma alone. Right? There's a bunch of them. They're everywhere. Uber drivers and painters and whatever. Everywhere you go, there's a Cherokee.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, everywhere. Everywhere I look. Hired a guy the other day. Needed some help putting up Christmas lights. He's like, I'm Cherokee, right? I'm like, damn, because your blue eyes. Give it away. Huh. Pretty sure your translucent skin lit the way for the whole tribe when they were on the Trail of Tears.
Oh, you were the Rudolph for your tribe.
Rudolph the translucent Cherokee had some very shiny skin. Of course, he's Cherokee. Everyone knows. Right? Yeah, whatever. Because his skin in the dark always glows. But the point is, this woman did the same bullshit. She's one of those, I'm a Cherokee, and she said she was Cheyenne and Cherokee or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think she just made up Cheyenne because Cheyenne sounds cool.
Anything but European.
I'm Cheyenne and Cherokee. What is that again? Yeah, Cheyenne and Cherokee. Yeah, that's what I'm. Somehow they met each other and they mated and had me. But yet
I'm Chevy Cheyenne and Jeep Grand Cherokee.
But yet for some reason I'm as white as the light bulb you have burning there in your dining room, right?
But you have to understand, my ancestors' once knew a native, so that counts.
Yeah.
They smoked a peace pipe with them one time.
No, they just passed some rugs off.
Oh, okay. Exactly. Blankets. No, I don't believe that, but I believe this. Okay. when your skin looks like, and I'm just gonna be honest, all right? I'm gonna be honest. I'm a light skinned guy, and I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter. But when your skin, I don't think you're too much native. I don't really believe that. Like I'm a quarter, right? And you don't see me wearing a headdress and jumping around acting like, yeah, man, I'm so proud of my heritage. Look at me, bro. Come at me, bro. I'm a Comanche warrior. You know, like, really, dude? Because no, you're not. You can be a warrior, but don't do that. No, don't do that. But that's what this person did, you know, and we have those light bulbs now that are, what are the LEDs? They're
Mhm.
just white. That's how this woman looks. So she goes in there and she takes sage and she just blows it everywhere. And I told her, I said, she goes, and I thought that cleansed it. And I told Beatrice, I said, that is ridiculous because what they did was probably agitated. And this woman is so full of crap. She didn't have any connection to anything. And she said a bunch of words that were supposedly Ojibwe. And I'm like, what? I thought she was Cheyenne and Cherokee. I said, so what you did was you stirred it up, you agitated it. So whatever was there really was really, really aggravated. So the first family that moved in there was the Ball family. And they got on the ball and got the hell out of there in 2 months.
They're the smart ones.
Here comes Eddie and his family. He doesn't know. So this guy, he moves in, and we'll call him Eddie for the sake of the show, whatever, not his full real name, whatever. He says, Mr. Wolf, I talked to him this week. He said, Mr. Wolf, I didn't know that it was haunted. I thought whatever had been happening to us in San Antonio, well, that's what this was. And I told him, I said, before we get into what happened to you in this house in Missouri, what happened to you in San Antonio? He goes, oh, man. He said, it was like an incubus. He's like, but it wasn't just happening it was happening in our neighborhood. He goes, and it looked like a big, tall being. But get this. I said, really? I said, so how tall? Like, I was thinking, 7, 8 foot tall entity. He said like 12 feet.
Jeez.
What? He said, sometimes, yeah, it was about 9 to 12 feet. It would be bigger and small. He goes, and I got a real good look at it. It wore black robes. And sometimes it had like this headdress on, not like a headdress like a native, but like this weird, the way it wore like a scarf and it hung down on one side. And I'm going like, what the hell? And he goes, and another time it was seen and it looked like it had red hair.
They always have red hair.
Not always, but this one did. But yeah, quite a bit. And I thought, holy crap. I said, okay, so let's shelve that for a minute. I said, what happened to you when you moved into this house in Missouri? And he says, the first week we were there, he goes, I heard my wife's name being called. He goes, I was downstairs, and he goes, and I was cooking some food. He goes, I like to cook. He goes, I used to be a cook at a restaurant. I was the lead cook or whatever, place down on the Riverwalk. And funny enough, we used to go to that place, and I was shocked. I was like, "Oh, I used to go there sometimes." And he says, "Yeah, I cooked there for a long time." He goes, "And I was the kitchen manager, whatever." And he's like, "I did that," and then he goes, "And then on the weekends, I had a flea market shop at the flea market, and I sold all this stuff." He goes, "I did really well for myself at that second business. It got so potent that I started selling things on eBay and all these other, whatever." And what it was just him going and getting things from Mexico and bringing them to San Antonio. Then he started selling them at the Mercado. And what is the other one? There's the Mercado, then there's the other one that's indoors. What's that one called?
I think they just call it like Market Square.
The Market Square. So I told him, I said, dude, I think I might have met you. I think I've been to San Antonio so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I said, dude, I think I know I ate at that restaurant. I was like, and I think I probably bought some stuff from you at the Market Square, because when he started describing what it was, I don't want to get into it because he wants to be more anonymous. But I mean, some people know him, know who I'm talking about. But here's the thing. When he left San Antonio, he goes, I thought I had left this crap behind, you know. He goes, I was like, I'm starting over. He goes, and the first week we were there, he goes, and I was making picadillo. Most people probably don't know what that is. It's like a ground beef with like spices and onion, and sometimes people put chili in there, whatever. So he was like, I was making picadillo tacos with huevos for my children. They were getting ready to go to school, you know, and I was like, I want to make them something, you know. And he's like, and I had just started a new job right there in Kansas City. He goes, and I went to school at one time to be a chef. He goes, and that's what I wanted to do. And so they gave me a job. And he's like, I jumped at the chance. I said, let's go, let's move, let's just relocate. Just up, move, whatever. The kids were still young, you know, why, you know, whatever. This family, he had 3 kids, had no clue what they were walking into. He said that first week I heard he didn't say my wife's name. He said, I heard my wife calling me is what it was. And he's like, I hear this on the stairs of the house. And I'm like, he's like, that's impossible because my wife had left to go to work. She got a job at a daycare. And I was like, so I thought maybe, you know, I was going crazy. Like my wife, maybe you know, she kissed me goodbye. Maybe she came back in. Maybe that's, you know, maybe that's what's happening. He's grasping to try to figure out what the hell's going on. Right? So he goes up to the stairs. He goes, and there I look up at the top of the stairs. He goes, and this was like 3 or 4 days in after we had, you know, we were still unpacking. He goes, there was this big box at the end. And he goes, and I see something sitting on the box that looked like a man. He's like, and I'm going like, what in the hell is that? What? I'm sorry, Tagia. I'm judging you for that. What does that mean?
She says she puts peanut butter in her picadillo.
Oh man. Oh well, that's like mole. Mole is just like
I couldn't help it. I had to answer that.
like Maddie eats the mole because it has chocolate sauce in it, and that's why she always orders that at Serrano's because it's sweet.
You're still cool, but
Maddie's not, but yeah, but Takayashi is. So, anyways, there's people that just like sweet. They just like sugar.
Sugar babies.
Sugar babies. Little sugar babies. So all they just can't handle it. They love sugar.
They're either sugar or salt babies.
Yeah. Or both.
Mhm.
So he says, I look up at the top of the stairs. He goes, I see this thing sitting on a box and it's kind of dark. And I'm like, what in the hell? And he's like, and there's a light right there. I can turn the light on that is above the hallway and under the stairs. He's like, but I was scared. He goes, I got scared. I go, I'm not going to turn this on because there's the kids. I can hear them kind of moving around. One of them is already downstairs at the table eating. The other one is in the bathroom arguing with the other kid. He's like, and there's a thing right there. But as a dad, he goes, you have a duty. He's like, I'm a very non-aggressive, non-violent guy. He goes, but when it comes to my children, well, I mean, anybody, you're trying to preach into a killer real quick. Mess with somebody's kids or their family. He's like, I'm protective of my wife and my children. He goes, so this thing was there. He goes, so I just did what any dad would do, and I just ran up the stairs. Probably not the smartest thing. He goes, I'm running up the stairs, and I got like a butcher's knife right there. I'm holding it. He's like, and I just ran up the stairs to go at this thing. When I get to the top of the stairs, it's nothing. It's just one of my daughter's big black teddy bears on top of
that's a relief.
A box. And he goes, oh, thank goodness. He goes, and then my children, hey, Dad. And then they go down the stairs, and he goes, and I'm sitting there like this. I got this knife in my hand. And he's like, I'm holding it, you know, the end of it to my head. And I'm like praying, oh, thank God, thank you, you know. He goes, and then he hears this grumbling, kind of like a weird noise, like a hissing noise. He's like, and I turned right there to the right of me. Right there in the upstairs living area. He goes, I see this thing, and it's on top of the beanbag. And it looks like a gargoyle, kind of, but not really. He said, and I said, if you had to describe what it looked like, I said, what would I didn't want this guy to tell me it was vampiric or whatever. And you know what he told me? He says, if you took like one of these vampire looking things, and it was sitting there perched down how a gargoyle sits, but like a human, and it had a bald head and it had these weird teeth, like these fangs that were sticking out, both up and down, top especially. And it was black, and it was just tilting its head, like looking at me. He goes, and I wanted to scream. I wanted to freak out, but my children are right downstairs. And I looked at this thing, and he goes, and this is something that multiple people have said. He goes, I wanted to tell it in the name of Christ, because he's like, I'm a Christian. He goes, I wanted to tell it to go away, and I couldn't say the words. He's like, this thing was stopping me from saying what I had to say. And he goes, and this was a few days in. He's like, and I knew at that point I was in trouble. I'm like, I am not. He's like, I had just survived some stuff with this other thing down in San Antonio. He said it was full on spiritual warfare with this thing. And he goes, instinctively, he goes, at first we thought that this was, what it was. Instinctively, I just thought, okay, here we go. So now this thing has a different form, and it's here in this house, because I believe that that's what it was. I believe that it was changing its form. He's like, but then I just turned and I went to walk down the stairs, and I looked back and it was gone. Or at least I couldn't see it. I know, yeah, it wasn't gone. I can tell you that. He just didn't see it. So he walks down the stairs. He gets to the bottom of the stairs, and he nervously feeds his kids breakfast. He has to be at his job by 10 a.m. and get ready and do the lunch prep and whatever. And it's his third day at the job. And he says, and we'd only been in the house, settled in for a few days. We stayed a few days in a hotel, like trying to get everything together, So it was only a few days into this, third day on my job. My wife already found a job. And he says, I try to play it off. My oldest daughter, she was like, are you okay, Dad? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Y'all go ahead. Y'all go to school. You'll have a good day at school. You enjoy yourself. He's like, make a lot of friends, whatever. Closes the door, and he turns around, and he goes, and there it is again. I see something move in the kitchen, and I'm like, this freaking thing. And so he's like, he goes to work, and he works all day. He comes home at close, like at 11 o'clock at night. The kids are already in bed. He got a few minutes to himself about 10, and the kids had called and said, okay, Dad, we're going to bed, whatever. The youngest was already in bed. The older ones were almost, one was a teenager, and the other one, a young teenager. The other one was almost a teenager. So their bedtime was like 9:30, but Mom let them stay up a little bit so they could call me. He says, while I'm on the phone with my middle child, my son, he's like, I hear this in the background, like this like weird noise. It's like somebody's trying to speak, but every word is kind of cut off in the middle, and it's just gibberish. And he's like, and I don't know what this is. It's like a weird, like there's some kind of, whatever going on. And he's like, I am stunned. I don't know what that is. And he goes, and it scared the crap out of me because I know what I saw earlier that day. And so he tells his son, he's like, I got to go, son. I love you. Hey, thank you for calling. He goes, and I kind of rushed to my phone. I felt bad, but I don't know what that is. So I started hurrying up and getting done and got the place closed, and I got the hell out of there, and I got home. I get home, and I talk to my wife. She's falling asleep, and I said, hey. It was like midnight at this point. I said, we need to talk. She's like, about? He's like, something weird is going on in this house. She's like, yes, you noticed it. He goes, yeah. And she's like, yeah, I've been hearing footsteps and voices and all kinds of stuff. And he's like, yeah, me too. Me too. And she's like, it's following us. And they agree. They were like, yeah, this is following us. So the next day he does the same thing. He gets up and he's like, he goes, I try to make my kids a different breakfast. She goes, and I wish he was my dad when it comes to all the food he was making for these kids. He's over there making eggs Benedict sandwiches and all kinds of stuff, like eggs Benedict with like English muffins and stuff. And he goes, I was making English muffins, eggs Benedict, whatever, getting ready to go to school, wash, rinse, repeat, right? Same thing. It's Friday. Kids are happy. Like, Friday, it's Friday, you know. Wife took off to go to work, kissed her goodbye. The kids leave. He goes, and then I run upstairs and I get, you know, showered, changed, whatever. I get to work, you know, at my job. Kids are out the door by 8, whatever. I'm you know, 9 o'clock, I'm gone. He's like, I get a call from the house. He's like, I thought this was kind of weird. This is weird right here, right? He says, hello? That's the house phone. Right? And all he hears is this over and over again. That's as close as I could get. That's pretty good, though. Something in the background. Anyways, that's as close as I could get. Right? He played it. It was just, I mean, it wasn't an EVP to me. It was just a noise. I don't know what it was. And so he's sitting there and he's like, hello? And then he hangs up the phone and he's like, it's right after the lunch rush. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, where I would have time to sit there to myself. He's like, and I'm not just the kitchen manager, I'm the assistant manager. You know, there's just the manager, me, and the owner. And so I'm doing a lot of work. And that manager, they were going to open up another restaurant. He goes, and that manager was getting ready to leave. I was about to be the general manager in about 60 days. A little less than 2 months, actually. They were talking about it. So he's like, I have things I got to do. He goes, so I'm sitting there and I'm working on a schedule. And he's like, and here I am dealing with that. He's like, and in my mind's eye, I could see that creature. That thing showed itself to me so that it would know that this was it right here. He's like, and then we had a cell phone, which is another weird thing. He goes, it was my oldest daughter's cell phone, and she had traded it in, right? It was so in order for them to get the different phone, whatever, they ended up getting a new number, and they were going to keep that phone as a backup, right? But then the daughter like lost it, or I don't remember what he said. Something about she lost it, or she let her friend borrow it, and the friend lost it, and he was very upset about it. So they cut that phone number off. That phone number was gone. So he gets a call and he looks down and he still has it in his phone as Lisa, which is his daughter. And he's like, why is Lisa's number coming up? He goes, that's the secondary number. That phone was lost months ago. And not only that, but it was lost in San Antonio. So he answers the phone. This thing starts to talk and he goes, it sounds like somebody's playing a language in reverse. It's the only way I could describe it. He's like, it's like if you took Spanish and just put it in reverse. I said, well, could it have been Latin? He goes, maybe. I don't know Latin, but I know Spanish. And it sounded like maybe it was Spanish in reverse. He's like, and so I asked, I said, what do you want? And then I said, why are you following us? Haven't you had your fun? Haven't you had enough? And this thing spoke to him at this point and says, and he was like, oh my gosh. He says, I am not going to put up with this. You know, he's thinking to himself. And he tells this thing, he's like, you have no right to follow. And then this thing cuts him off and it says, I am not he. Very garbled, very, you know, and then it was like every other word was kind of pronounced, you know, like I am not he, like that. And he was like, what the free? And then it clicked off. That same night, he goes, I got off early. I got off at 8 o'clock, you know, and I was very tired. And, you know, I had a shift leader that I had put in charge or whatever. Things were moving quickly. We were going to actually be opening the other store in 45 days instead of 60. They were getting it done. Permits were getting done and things were moving. And he's like, and I told my wife, I said, this is going to be good for us. We're going to, you know, and she's like, I can't. She's like, Eddie, I can't live in this house. She says, I can't. She said, I know that this is something different now. And he's like, really? How do you know? And she's like, I was in the bathroom and I saw this thing stand behind me in the mirror. And it looked at me and we made eye contact. I only saw the left side. I saw his left eye. She's like, and I looked at it and I knew right then. I was like, this is not the same demon. This is something else. This is something that is in this house. He's like, so good news, bad news. So the good news, we're done with whatever that other thing was. And he's like, right. And she goes, maybe. She's like, but this thing is just as bad, if not worse. She's like, another thing, I'm very tired. I'm wore out. I'm not feeling good. And he said the same thing. He's like, I was tired. I was wore out. He goes, it got so bad. He goes, a couple weeks in, we went to the doctor and they ran some blood tests. And it basically, they found out that she was definitely anemic and he was borderline.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor was this new guy. They didn't know him. They wasn't their doctor that they both grown up with in San Antonio. They were high school sweethearts. They knew each other. Their doctor was literally her cousin's best friend that they had known since school. Like, you know. So he calls that doctor and says, hey, you know, and he asks him, he says, hey, man, you know, can you tell me what, you know, when I went to see you when we were having problems, you remember when we were having problems? And this guy's name's Emilio. Emilio tells me, says, yeah, I'll find out. So he gets in touch with the doctor. This is actually his wife's cousin. Emilio was one of the people that was involved in this because I don't want to call him a demonologist, but he was the one that kind of figured out what he thought it was that was happening there in San Antonio. And he helped some of the people there, like a curandero, right? But not using magic or whatever, just faith, like a faith healer. And he says, okay. He gets in touch with the doctor, and the doctor calls him because the guy's very busy, got a lot of patients. He's a good guy. And he said, what's up? And he says, hey, man, you remember you did my blood work? He's like, and he goes, and I was just floored when you told me that everything was out of whack. He's like, but I seem to have lost, you know, and I tried calling the nurse and they're not giving me the information. He says, I'll tell you right now. He goes, I remember. He's like, I don't know why, because I have hundreds of patients, but I remember yours. He said, Eddie, he said, you were anemic. He said, and your white blood cell count was going crazy. I had to check you for every disease known to man and for cancer because I just couldn't understand what your body was fighting something. I don't know what it was. But every blood test came back just a little abnormal, but not too much. He's like, you didn't have any diseases that, you know, and you didn't have cancer that we knew of. But he goes, something was definitely wrong. Your immune system was like turning in on itself. And we thought maybe there was autoimmune disease. We didn't find one. He's like, but yeah, you were anemic. And he goes, and what's weird is, you remember, he goes, the second time you came to the doctor's office when this thing started with you and your whatever, he said, you fell asleep in your car. And it wasn't until I was leaving the clinic that afternoon, I found you in the car and you were asleep and you don't have any memory of that. So I took you in and then I sat you down and we talked and it was already after 6 o'clock. Your appointment was at 2. And then Eddie's like, oh yeah, I remember. He's like, I remember that. And he talks to his wife. He says, you know, I talked to the doctor and he reminded me of something that for whatever reason, I put out of my mind. He's like, remember when we were going through this stuff in San Antonio, you know, I went unconscious. I fell asleep. He's like, because I was anemic. He's like, but it's weird because now you're anemic and I'm borderline, you know. He's like, but I think it's happening again. Different beings, maybe same MO. And then she started talking about the entity and what happened to her in San Antonio. This is what she told me. I'm not going to say her name. But she told me this. She said that, and we'll call her Andrea. That's not her name, but it starts with an A. But I said, okay, we'll call her Andrea. She said this. And she told Beatrice this. Right? Now remember, this family, okay, that they rented to, his brother, or her brother, one of the reasons why they moved up there was because he lived in Kansas City, and he was good friends with Beatrice's husband before he passed away, Steve. They were on a softball team together. Because it wasn't just random, like, hey, let's just move to Kansas City. It was like, let's find a
there's
place.
reason for it.
Yeah, let's find a landing place. And he's like, your brother lives up there in KC, and he was telling me that there's a lot of good jobs in the restaurants, whatever, at that time. And he's like, so they moved up there. This is back before the Chiefs started winning and cheating all the time. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Like before the refs joined their team.
Yeah, before the refs joined their team. And so then he said, let's go to Kansas City. Right. So Beatrice told me this. She said that these people, when I would talk to them, they would be at the softball game. And she goes, and I would look up there and Eddie would be asleep, like just passed out. I'm like, what's wrong? And he wasn't telling us because he was kind of embarrassed to tell them, hey man, there's like this thing at your house that you rented it to us, because Beatrice and them hadn't lived there in forever. But remember, her dad did. And her dad was fighting this thing a lot, and then they didn't know it. They didn't realize they had all moved out, and at one point the dad, poor guy, he was living there by himself with this thing, and he believed that that's what put him in the rest home because he was in his 70s, and they said, "Oh man, your dad's on his way out. He'll be at the rest home for a while, but he's going to be in hospice. He's going to die." Guess what? He started to make a recovery, and then he started to get better. And then the next thing you know, he's like, yeah, all right, peckerhead son of a bitch, put me back at the house. Let's do this. He kept telling him, he goes, it's that devil that's there. There's a devil there. He kept calling it. He said, there's a devil. It's black as midnight. It's got yellow eyes. He goes, it's there in that house. It tries to attack me. One of the times it attacked him, he woke up. It was biting him on the chest. It was literally trying to drink his blood. He said that this thing could turn into vapor. And at one point, he actually believed that it came from one of the neighbors who passed away. That's weird. The dad said that. So Eddie talked to the dad, and Beatrice was kind of worried. She's like, yeah, my dad's a little weird, and he's from way back, and he calls them that Mexican family, And he's like, that's a good Mexican family you got there. Hardworking people, the Mexicans. And their food is delicious. But there's a damn vampire there, and he likes Mexican blood too. So, and she's like,
It's got a certain spice to it.
No, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, it likes the chili,
Likes the cumin. Comino, they call it.
Put
it in everything, these people.
So the dad is a little gruff, but she talks to Eddie, and Eddie says, I got to tell you something. But I want to tell you and Steve. And he says, look, there's something in that house. And Steve was standing there, and he's kind of like, because he don't want to, he didn't want to accept it. He wanted to move back into the house, and Beatrice was kind of going along, and she's like, okay. And he's like, I feel stupid telling you this. But Beatrice's son, Michael, was there, and he was like, yeah, it's haunted by a freaking vampire. And everybody's like, Michael. And he's like, what? And she says, my son's a lot like his uncle Michael. And Michael's a lot like my dad, James. They don't give a crap. They just blurt it out, whatever it is. Why beat around the bush? That's how they are. Kind of like me. But Eddie was polite. And he was like, yeah, it's a nice house. And he was only going to stay there. They were going to stay there for about 2 years, save up, and then they were going to buy a house because he had a pretty good job. And his wife was doing well. She was already being put in charge of shifts over there where she was at. And he's like, we're gonna do this. And he said, look, I told you I'd stay here for 2 years at the house. I don't think I'm going to make it 2 months of the way. There's something there. So that night, Beatrice calls Barbara, and Barbara's like, hun, that's what she called her sister. She says, hun, you got to tell him. She's like, we should never have rented that house to family friends. She's like, I thought it was done. She goes, why? Because Karina went in there and chanted a bunch of bullshit. And they argued about that. She goes, she's not even a Christian. I don't know what are you thinking? Saging it and going around pretending to be native. She goes, she's my friend. He goes, friends, so what? And she goes, And Beatrice said, she goes, Barbara was never like on my ass about stuff. She's like, but she was on me about that. She hated Karina. And she says, what does the Bible say about hate? She's like, well, that's good because Karina don't believe in the Bible. So there you go. It's back and forth, you know. And Steve's in the background. I told you she's a fraud. You know, nobody, but you know, everybody was like, this woman is full of shit, you know. She says, yeah, you're right. So she calls up Eddie's wife, Eddie. And everybody has told me that Eddie's wife is a beautiful woman, very pretty. And Eddie even told me, because I don't know what she sees in me. You know, he's like, she's a 9 and I'm a 5 or a 6. I said, dude, you were totally a solid 4. You don't give yourself more credit. I'm kidding. But he said, he goes, I don't know what she sees in me. I think he's not giving himself enough credit because he's a great guy. From talking to him, he seems like a really good dude. And she is a very sweet woman, but she's very honest. And she says, look, Eddie's probably not going to tell you the whole story. He said, but we came from a house in San Antonio that was haunted. It was very haunted. And she goes, and I know my cousin, my brother probably didn't tell you. You know, that's why we ended up here. And Barbara had known a little bit about it, but Beatrice was like, yeah, my sister said something. What happened? So then his wife, we call her Andrea, she told her the whole story about what happened in San Antonio. And Beatrice is the one that told me about that. Talk to these people. These people have a story. She said it was like 2.5 hours on the phone with her. She goes, and we became close. We started going and doing stuff together. She goes, and then one day we went to this place to go eat pho. Now, that's the Vietnamese, whatever. The woman that worked at the Vietnamese restaurant, she came up to them, and she's good friends with Beatrice. They've been going there for a long time. She sits down and she says, you have something. Right? I think we already talked about this before. And she's like, yeah, that was what made her take pause or whatever. Said that there was something wrong, and it was with her husband. She thought, what is this woman going to tell me that my husband's cheating? You know, no. It's like you have something spiritually attached to him. Something's going on with him. Like this is, you know, and that's when that went down. And she says, you know, and Andrea's like, I don't know about that. She goes, but I know that there's something in that house. She's like, the thing that was in the house, that was in our house in San Antonio, tried to assault me on multiple occasions, if you know what I mean. And Beatrice was like, oh, yeah, okay. She said, this thing isn't trying to assault me. She goes, but I think it's draining my energy. She's like, it's like a vampire. Really messed up thing. Her children had 2 guinea pigs. They had 2 guinea pigs. Or one of them had 2 guinea pigs. The other one had 2 hamsters, right? And they kept them separately, whatever. And all of them, within like a day of one another, all of them were unalived.
Oh.
And they were dried up. Like something had drained them. And here's the creepy thing. Her son finds a giant tarantula in the closet, and instinctively he hits it. He hits it with a glove, like one of his baseball gloves, and it still keeps trying to crawl, and it crawls towards him aggressively. And then he gets smart, and he grabs a boot and hits it with it, and blood goes all over the place. Blood, like not, yeah.
It's disgusting.
That's not even the weirdest part. That night he has a dream, and he says this is his dream. This is what he told Andrea, and Beatrice heard this part of the dream. He wakes up, and he gets up because something is scratching and clawing, and he thinks it's his dog. So he gets up, and it's funny because they had a dog named Spirit. So Spirit is clawing and scratching, whatever. And that's kind of, I got to tell you why. Eddie named it after Spirit, the tracker from G.I. Joe.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. He goes, yeah, I like how you wear the shirts or whatever, because he checked out the show just, a little bit, whatever. And he said, I named our dog Spirit. We had two spirits. I mean, 2 spirits. We had 2 dogs, Apache and Spirit. And Spirit was my son's dog, and the dog was always with him. It's scratching and clawing, trying to get out of the room. And he wakes up, and he's like, "What's going on, boy?" And he hears this like sizzling. I can't do the sound effects with my mouth, but he said it was like like this sizzling noise, like somebody was frying bacon or something. He's like, gonna look over, and there's this big, giant tarantula about the size of my dog at the foot of my bed. He goes, and I throw the covers up, and I jump up, and I'm like, that's where I had killed that spider. And I told my parents, and you could still see some of the blood splatter. They were like, you need to clean this up. And they were in shock that did this spider get in there and unalive these rodents? How did it get in to the cage and then get back out? Doesn't make any sense. So he gets freaked out, and eventually the dog just turns and starts growling and runs at it, and then starts fighting with this thing, and the thing is biting his dog. He goes, and then in a moment of courage, I just reach over and I pulled the legs, and when it turned to try to bite me, he goes, I put my hand into its like mouth that was open, and it clamped down with its fangs. He goes, and then I just punched through the top of its, whatever body, and there was just goo everywhere, like this greenish slime. He's like, and then I wake up and I'm like fighting with the covers, and my dog's at the door scratching, like, hey, I need to go out and pee. He's like, and so it was on the weekend, and his son just got up and was like, what the heck was that? And he goes, and it's a good thing I woke up because I was about to be late for baseball practice, and I was just like, holy crap. He goes, and then I just looked around the room, and I saw the spot where I'd killed the spider. He's like, and I go and I let the dog out, and we go outside, and he uses the bathroom immediately. And the dog, he goes, he was like squatting down, making his business, and he was looking at me the whole time, like, and he's like, it was just weird. He never does that. He's kind of a shy dog. Like he'll go, and some dogs they don't like being looked at while they're pooping or peeing. And he said that when he turns around, that's when the thing revealed itself to him. It was at the base of the stairs, and it was standing there, and it was just looking at him. He said, and in his mind, he heard the words, why did you do that? And he was like, do what? And then it just shook its head like back and forth with those yellow eyes, and then it just was gone. The only thing that he could think of was, I crushed that spider. So that is weird, right? Then you have Barbara that goes by with Beatrice, and they had this like they went to the church. I guess they had this. Well, they didn't go to the same church. The Jimenez went to a different church, but because they were Catholic, but they went to this church, and they had like a bake sale. What we would nowadays call it a cakewalk. Back then they called them cakewalks. Now I don't know what they would call them, but they did these cakewalks, right? It's like a game, and then you win a cake or you pay money basically.
Yeah.
And then you walk the deal. They put it in chalk, and then it's a cakewalk, right? And then you get a pie or a cake based on it. It used to be real popular, especially back in the old days when, eating was the most important thing you could do because you didn't have money for anything. It was like food was important. Like it was the center of your world, That's where that term comes from. Turn of the century, the 1800s and 1900s, cakewalk, right? So they had a cakewalk. Some leftover pies and cakes. So they took them over there to the Jimenez and said, hey, we got these cakes here, and they really just wanted to come and like pray with them. Andrea's like, great, let's pray. Let's do this, whatever. And then they sit at the table and start praying together. These three ladies, and they're holding hands, and the table jumps, and they all stop, and they're like, what the heck is that? So they all just kind of stop and look at each other. Then they go back to, okay, we're not going to let this stop us. We're going to pray. And it does it again. Then they hear a yelping noise coming from upstairs. And Apache slept in the youngest daughter's room, and he was he was German Shepherd and Malinois. I would have loved to have seen that mix. That's a very, very, very good dog breeds. But Andre goes, I got to go check on my daughter. And they all just ran upstairs with her, just instinctively. Daughter is crying, and the dog is laying in the corner. She said that a spider came out from under her bed and bit him. And then he started having a seizure. And Beatrice is like, I'm sitting there going like, what in the hell is going on? They took the dog to the veterinarian, and luckily it was the weekend, so it wasn't too late, you know. And so there was a Saturday, you know, afternoon. The dog had been bit, and there was some sort of toxic venom, but they couldn't identify it. And get this, another thing too, the dog white blood cell count was out of control. And he was anemic, like he was missing blood. The veterinarian was shocked. They were like, "This dog needs blood. Like its pulse and its heart rate. I mean, its blood pressure, everything was so low that it was like this dog's about to die." And they just attributed it to the spider that had bit. And she said, "Can you describe the spider?" And the daughter's trying to describe it, and the brother's like, "That's the same kind of spider." You know, he came home from baseball practice and they were talking about it, and he was like, "That's the same thing I killed in my closet. There must be an infestation or something, right?" And that's what the dad thinks, what Eddie thinks. And he says, "No, Dad, no. I got to tell you something." He goes, "I saw this thing. It was like a man, but it wasn't, and it was standing at the base of the stairs, and it was talking to me in my mind, and this is what it told me." And Eddie goes, "I would have thought he was crazy, but we'd already been through all this crap in San Antonio, and now we're dealing with this crap." And he goes, "No, that's not what it was." He said that their dog had to stay with the vet for a couple days, and then they got fluids in it, and they did everything. He said, and then Spirit started sleeping with us. He goes, "But guess what? Our youngest was sleeping with us too." He goes, and then the next thing you know, our daughter, who's 12 years old, going on 13 in a week, you know, she's sleeping in a little rollaway bed at the foot of our bed, and the dogs are sleeping with us. And the only one that wasn't sleeping with us was our son. He goes, and he's a very well-adjusted young man, and he's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna sleep in there." That lasted 2 nights. He's like, and then we're all sleeping in our bedroom, where we were hearing noises and scratching and all kinds of weird stuff at the door and the wall and all kinds of weird shit was going on, basically. Excuse my language. And he goes, and my son comes into the room, you know, and he says, "Dad, I don't want to live like this." He says, "Me neither." But they were very good friends with these people. And so they lasted 3 months in that house. And then they told them, they said, "What we're going to do is we're going to pay out the rest of it. We're going to pay you the finish. So we're going to give you 6 months, basically, because we don't want to just leave you high and dry." And so Beatrice was feeling really bad about it. She says, "No, don't worry about it." But her husband, he's kind of a dick. He was like, "No, they got to pay at least 6 months, whatever." And she's like, "Steve, that's one of your best friend's, you know, sister. Why would you do that?" But y'all know about him. We talked about him.
Yeah. Not the nicest guy.
"Oh, I might have been drinking blood at an orgy. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing." It happens. Just walking along and you just have an affair. It just happens, you know.
Just stumbled into it.
Just stumbled into an affair, you know, with several people at a place.
Couldn't be helped.
Drink blood. You do the same in my position. So she was like, "Steve being the a-hole," and she even did she paused for a minute when she said that. She goes, "Steve being the a-hole that he was, you know." She's like, he was an a-hole. He wanted the money. He goes, No, they're trying to lose 2 years. 2 years. And she's like, "You're gonna win the argument and lose your friends. Is it worth it?" So she kind of came to his senses and was like, "Nah, okay, we're not gonna do that." And so they agreed. They said, No, let us pay you. We're gonna find another place. There's a place for rent around the corner. We're gonna rent that, but we'll give you 3 months, you know, just 3 months. We're not even gonna, and that'll give you time to find another tenant. And then at that point, Steve was like, "Well, we're gonna move in over there." And Beatrice was like, "I don't think that's a good idea." They had a little farm, whatever, but he wanted to save money, and she didn't realize that he was spending money on all kinds of stuff, making bad investments and just doing ridiculous things. And when he died, left them all in a hole. And that's why James, her dad, couldn't stand him. And James told him, he says, "You shouldn't have that family with those children there." So when James talked to Eddie, that's Beatrice and Barbara's dad. He says, let me tell you something. He said, I stayed in that house by myself for damn near 2 years. He goes, that place is haunted. He's like, and it's not just haunted. He goes, there is a malevolent spirit there. And he goes, what did you do? This is what James did. James took pages out of the New Testament, out of the Bible. And he said this. He says, I took pages, all the words in red that Jesus spoke. He goes, I put them all over my wall. That's what he did. He's like, I put crosses and crucifixes, and I stayed in 2 rooms. I didn't go anywhere else. And that thing stayed away from me. Eventually, it knew to stay away from me. He goes, if I heard it or I saw anything, he goes, I'd run toward it and start screaming in the name of Jesus. Get away, you know. He goes, I went on the offensive. He was a military history buff, right? That's what me and Beatrice were talking about. He's like, my dad loved Patton. He had all this respect for him. He loved George Patton. He loved Rommel. He had all these generals that he liked. He was like him, you know. He wanted to be a general, you know. And I thought about it. I was like, oh, it's a man after my own heart. That's a good thing. You know? Knew a lot about history. He says the best way to win a war is to go on the offensive. Don't sit back and wait for this thing to attack you. You go attack, attack, attack. That's what he did. He said, if I heard something in the bathroom, I'm in the name of Christ, you rebuke you, you don't belong here. He says, and there'd be months that would go by where nothing would happen. I'd be fine. I slept like a baby, but then it would come back. He goes, and you know what? It came back mostly when Steve came over. He said one time his daughter had such a bad fight with her boyfriend, talking about Barbara, not Beatrice. And he goes, she had a boyfriend that was he called everybody a peckerhead. But it's such a bad fight. And then he came over. So I don't want him in my house because I don't want him bringing that thing back because any negative energy fed that thing and it would, you know. So he says, no, I don't. My grandson come over. He's playing that damn heavy metal, weird music and stuff would start happening. He's right. He was living in a war zone and James understood that. He understood very well this was the enemy. And when he got put in the rest home and they're like, oh, you're going to die. It's been a good run. You know, he was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then he kept telling everybody, he goes, I'm fine. He lived to be in his 90s. And true to his word, he's like, when Steve's going to die. He told him, he said, Steve's going to die because he brought something else there. And now he's got these 2 things that are feeding on him and he's going to die. He said that. Everybody's like, oh, come on, Grandpa, don't say that. Don't say that, Grandpa. Don't, you know. And he's like, what do you think I'm kidding? He's like, and when his funeral comes, I'll go, but I'm going to fall asleep. And he did.
Yeah.
James went to sleep.
Man of his word.
He's a man of his word. And he said it. He said, I'm not playing with this. I'm not playing around. He goes, this thing is evil. It's evil. He goes, I was 74. Y'all were like, oh, I'm out of here. No, I'm not. Because there's evil in this world. This is what James said. He said, and it exists whether you want to believe it or not. When Eddie told James the story, so Eddie told James the whole story about what happened to him in San Antonio. He said, over a cup of coffee. What is that? Is that you? Oh, I thought it was fidgeting. Like, oh, he's fidgeting. I thought it was some weird, one weird sound or something. Sorry about that. I was just like, what is that? Sorry about that, folks. Tony distracted me with his weirdness. So when James sat there and talked to Eddie, the same thing happened with Beatrice when she talked to Andrea, and they started talking about what happened to him in San Antonio. And James started describing to him exactly how he dealt with these entities. And Eddie said, you know what? That's when we went on the offensive and we struck back. He's like, but everything started to kind of chill out. He's like, and about a month or so goes by, and then we had already made up our minds that we were going to leave. Then I'm in the garage moving boxes, and I hear a voice on the other side of the door, like coming out of the den. And I thought, this is why we're leaving, because it's never really going to stop. And of course, Beatrice and everybody, they went through this. And eventually these, the story ended with, some people came and they prayed and they got rid of this thing. But Steve had brought something else with him. You see, folks, that's what these bloodlines are. Some of them are vampiric. Some of them are just shape-shifting, whatever. Some of them are giant. Some of them aren't. And they're different. They're all different. And they don't all work together and play together. That's not true. But that doesn't matter to you or me. They're just gangs. If you're a normal person, it doesn't matter what color the street gang is. It's a street gang and you're not in it. And that is the situation with these people. They were just like, we were in the middle of a war. And we had to get ourselves out of that war zone. And I said, so I told him, what happened? He says, we moved out. He's like, about 2 weeks into the place where we were staying there, my daughter comes to me in the new place. This is the new place, not that other place, and tells me she saw a man walking around, and she was like, what did he look like? And she described him like, he was a white man with dark hair and he had a cap on, whatever. They find out that the person that used to live there had a son that had taken his own life. Not inside. He went out into the shed in the back and he did what he did. She's like, me and my wife, we pray. We could feel it. We could feel a sad energy there. And then about a month later, he's like, my brother tells me, just tear that shed down. And they did. And then they saw like a weird hazy like figure in the backyard every once in a while. And he goes, and every time we saw it, I would run outside and I would pray. And I would read the Bible out in the yard. He's like, and my neighbor, I thought, oh, this neighbor's going to think I'm crazy, right? The neighbor comes over to the fence and tells him, he says, that's a good thing you're doing. He said, I know what you're doing. He goes, the neighbor's son. He goes, yeah, I know the story. And he's like, yep. He goes, I pray for his soul. So what they did was they got some of the people in the neighborhood to actually pray together. He said, all together, we got 14 people. We went in the backyard and we prayed. He goes, and guess what? It's been years now, and there's been nothing in my house. Nothing. Other than the Holy Spirit. And now he's no longer Catholic. Before his wife even, like, he started going to church with Beatrice and them. And he goes, I hold no ill will against Beatrice or even Steve for trying to be hard-nosed with us about it. He's like, Beatrice was very kind. He goes, and I loved her dad. He was a good guy. He was a really good guy. He goes, and he was very nice to us. He was like, little racist. A little racist. And I said, yeah, racist, but was he's like, he goes, unintentionally, just the way he was.
He's more the Archie Bunker type racist.
Yeah, he said that he was like, when I was in the rest home, there was this little Mexican gal, and she took good care of me. I liked her. She brought me tamales, and some of those Mexican folk are okay.
She was one of the good ones.
She's one of the good. She's a credit to her race. Pancho Villa, on the other hand, was a criminal and should have been punished to the full extent of the law. Down there doing all kinds of crap at the border. Pancho Villa and his jalapeno eating ass. Who needs him, right? You know what I'm saying. There's some good ones. There's some good ones. There's some like this. There's good and bad in all races. There's some gypsies that are less pickpockety. I mean, there just is. And all the hundreds of gypsies I've known, there've been a couple that were not as thievy. That's a complete lie. All of them are that way. I'm joking, folks. I got one friend who's Roma, one really good friend. I know you're probably watching, and you're probably, but he's a Chilango from Mexico City. So what does he know? You ain't supposed to be there anyway. He's like, nah, man. We're Roma. When you go down there and you go, nah, man, you're Mexican. How about that? I digress. The point is that we have cultural differences, and you got to admit the older generation was a little uncouth about it, right? I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I could tell when I met like Tony's grandfather that he was probably not white people probably weren't his favorite flavor.
Yeah.
You know, He would walk with his hands behind his back and look at us like,
I fought
suspicious.
against you in the war.
You look like man who burned village. I'm like, that was actually me, reincarnated. Sorry about that. I hope all is forgiven. I mean, this is the will of Dharma.
I mean, we're cool, right?
no, Guaylo, get out of my head.
That's kind of crazy. I never even thought of that. What if you reincarnated and then met the man that killed you in war?
That would be crazy, right?
Like as an older man, like you realize he lived his whole life. Well, the end.
Reincarnated, killing racial epitaphs worse than before.
Came back for the dead.
You know, that's a Mandela effect, because I remember that Tupac song, the original Tupac song. I'm telling you the absolute truth. I played it for one of my homeboys, and I say homeboys because back in the day, he was one of my homeboys. And his name's Greg. We've been friends. Y'all know Greg. We've been friends forever. He's black. And I said, Greg, check this out, bro. And he says, in the lyrics, I remember this, because back in the day, you buy the cassette or the CD, the lyrics would be on there, right? So I had the CD, it was Death Row Records. I remember. And I had and it reminded me during the whole Diddy thing, you know. And it said on there, when I died, reincarnated, killing in with the A at the end, word worse than before. Now it's like I forgot, I don't know what it is. You look at it, some other bullshit, but he's not saying N word with the he's not saying the hard R, he's saying the at the end. But that was the lyrics, right? And basically saying like, I'm gonna come back and kill more N words worse than before, you know, this is Tupac, right? Now it's like, I'm gonna bake a cake worse than ever before. This cake is gonna be delicious. Protein cake. It's that yellow cake. I hope you don't drop it. Please don't drop it. And you're just going like, what is this shit?
No,
what is this Mandela effect shit? They're gonna PC up the world with their Mandela shit. We need to go into the Hadron Collider and change this racism to racism light. Why don't we just like know that the past was what it was and just go, hey, to hell with it. It is what it is. I was called a half-breed for a large part of my life. Do you see me being bitter and angry about it? I could give a damn. It is what it is. My grandpa called me that. He would introduce me to people and be like, he's a little breed. And I was over there like, I'm a little breed. I don't know what the hell it was. I didn't give a shit. All I cared about was like, we went fishing. Me and Papa and Grandma went fishing, and afterwards we'd eat fish, fried fish, whatever. And my grandma would make some pecan pie or something, and it was just a wonderful life. I didn't care that my grandpa looked at me and thought, this is my little half breed. He treated me good. Never did anything to me. Never molested me or beat me. That's important nowadays.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting molested and getting beat, and everybody's like, yeah, I have one eye, mom pulled it out with a hanger. Like, what the you're over there talking about how bad your mom is. You're like, oh man, my eyes I have both of mine. My mom yelled a lot. Jeez Louise, shit. Trauma Olympics, man, I'm telling you. You talk to somebody nowadays and they're like, yeah, I was Bigfoot out in the woods, just 10 of them just assaulted me. It was horrible. Went over hours. Like, oh shit, damn, dude, damn, that's horrible.
Yeah, but then sometimes I
just think they're making it up so they can be the most.
I was gonna say, like, sometimes they'll be like, oh, my mom used to lock me in the room for 3 minutes at a time. My life is so difficult. Like they give the same amount of like emotional distraught
to
for
some
like very minor discrepancies.
That's another one. That's
what really annoys me.
That's an annoying one too.
I'd rather but I would prefer that you actually had something major going on and like actually be able to feel sympathy
because
for that.
One of your friends, I don't want to say his name. Stupid dude.
I'll say it.
Okay. Stupid John.
Yeah, John.
I remember Stupid John trying to tell me about how his parents had punished him or something. They took away his Xbox or something. I was sitting there going like, and I know you can. Tony's over there like, took away your Xbox. What I wouldn't give to just have my Xbox taken away. I got choked out on a Tuesday. I woke up on a Friday. Like, yeah, that's
you got an Xbox, bro, and they take it away. I used to have to steal Xboxes and hide it in my closet just to pay for a day. I would stay up all night and only get 2 hours of sleep.
I remember when Tony got punished. Remember that, Anthony? For his... So Tony, I know Tony's parents very well. So they punished him well, they whoop his ass because he got corporal punishment. So he got his ass whooped, and then they were like, "Okay, you can't play video games for a month or something crazy, right?" And then Tony goes and he steals his little sister Leah's her little SpongeBob television.
It was actually not.
It was a Barbie TV.
It was a
Barbie television. Okay. Oh, she had a SpongeBob one too. I know because I bought her one. She had a little Barbie TV, and he was in there in the closet.
Yeah, they wouldn't just like.
And then they called me and told me about it. And I'm like, what do you want me to do about it? So I get on the phone with Tony. I'm like, Tony, how did it look on the Barbie TV? I was just wondering, did all the graphics show up correctly, whatever? And then I said, and by the way, afterwards, just say that I yelled at you. We used to do that all the time.
I wish they would just ground me. Like that would be great if they just like took it away for a month at a time. But it would just be gone forever.
And you know what they would do? They would tell them about how they would send them to our house as a punishment. Because
that wasn't fun.
What?
No, because normally it's like, yeah, I'm going to Wolf's house, but then like they would give me like a list of chores that had to complete, a checklist before I could even head out.
Then I remember Zane.
Y'all would help me out.
Yeah, Zane. Well, Zane and Anthony and everybody would help you.
Yeah, we'd all pitch.
But I remember like they would tell me, don't let them play video games. They had a whole list of
this. Don't let them do that.
Yeah, don't let them go.
Basically, just have him over, sit him on the couch, and let him sit there unless he has to go.
And he was supposed to go work out.
Yeah,
they said to take him to the gym, make him work out, and Chad said to make you swim the lap because I used to swim laps. Make him swim the laps, make him work out, make him do all these things that are horrible things, and then I would have to coach him afterward. I'd be like, we'd be driving back. I'd tell Tony, okay, all right, remember on Saturday. We went to the gym, and then you helped clean the house. Remember that? It was like Sunday, you swam, and Tony's like, okay, I got it. Right. So we would, and they would like cross-examine to make sure that he was being punished, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember Anthony, we were talking about it one day. We dropped him off, and Anthony's like, man, to hell with that shit. He goes, I'd run away if it was me. We didn't run away. And he did. Tony ran away, but you only ran. Tell the folks where you ran to. Tell them what you did, Tony.
Ran to McDonald's. No, that was different. That was my senior year, and I think like
thank you, Rita, for that donation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome, Rita. That is incredible. Thank you so much.
Nobody else apparently likes our show.
Yeah, everybody else hates us. Nobody likes me. Everybody hates me.
We got bills to pay.
I guess I'll just eat worms, like that book or that song.
Good thing the Seahawks won, so we could eat this week.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all knew they were gonna win. No? Wasn't that
no? Because Patriots fans.
That's what you had any doubt? You're a Patriots fan or delusional?
Yeah, you were delusional. Well, there was a few dummies, but go ahead, tell the story.
At that time was my senior year. They had just I think finally realized oh, he's gonna be 18 soon, and his life is gonna be his own. So I convinced them that senior year just to let me do whatever I want. And I snuck out of the house, but the way I did it was the stupid way, where you just put some pillows under a blanket, and then you stick some shoes on there so it looks like feet. But I was dumb. I had the shoes sticking out. So my mom came in. She was like, I remember her calling me. She was like, "Where you at?
Since when do you sleep with your shoes?"
I was like, "I'm in bed." And she goes, "No, you're not. You have your shoes on in bed." I know there's pillows. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm at McDonald's. So I had to go all the way back. But I think the time I ran away, I just went down the street to the park, and I was like, this is my life now. This is where I'm going to live. Because there was a little park right next to a creek. And there were some swing sets there. And I was like, this is good enough for me.
Yeah. And I remember, I'm going to say his name, but your stepdad was already you were 13 or 14. He was already talking about how he was going to pawn you off on us. And I was like, he's kind of young to be living at our house because, you were into weapons big time. And we had a lot of weapons.
Was full of weapons.
My house was full of weapons. I'm not just talking about pew-pews. I'm talking about we had swords and knives. And I was a collector of medieval swords and knives, and I had a huge katana collection, still do, real ones. I'm not talking about flea market specials. I'm talking about I invested money in these things, stamped from Japan because I had a friend that used to make them. And so I told him, I said, dude, that dude's gonna grab stuff and mess with it, dude. And you did. You did. I remember I'd be at work, and worst thing ever, leave Zane, was the youngest until Tony came. Leave them alone at the house together, and then Adrian would come over. That's that's Anthony's youngest brother, or Paulito, or whatever, his other brother. And they would come over and they'd hang out, and I'd be at work. And I come, and all the swords, everything's moved around. These little dummies, they would play with them, and then they'd put them back. And I would notice them be like all crooked and stuff, and I'd be like, and Anthony was older at that time, so he would go to work too. And then he would be there, like I would let him be off, so he could hang out with y'all. But apparently you didn't regulate these kids, because they would I'd come home and be like, what? Where's all my stuff? Stuff was moved, stuff was pulled out from under the bed. Because I had that rolled thing with the blades, and there was dust on it, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew, because it would sit under there for a long time. The dust was gone. I'd be like, y'all are playing with, and then
Playing with knives.
Stuff would go missing. The worst was one day, and I don't remember which one of y'all little shits did it, but I went down to the dog park to walk the dogs. We had 3 dogs at that time. And I went down there to let them out, and one of my throwing knives, was in the tree. And I'm like, I know the one, the little, yeah. I pulled it out. I was like, that's cool. Okay. And I go back, and there were 3 throwing knives. There was 2. So somebody was down there throwing them, playing with them, and everybody's holding the video game controller. I don't know what happened. The alien abduction happened. I don't know.
Oh, a knife? Nope, I never did.
Nobody throwing knives down there at the dog park. Why would we do that? I'm like, give me a break. Yeah, whatever. And then we'd always go, take a couple days off. We'd go swimming. We'd do all kinds of shit. And I'm going to be brutally honest here, dude. I didn't want kids. I didn't want kids, man. I just ended up with them. Ended up with my brother's kid, ended up with my sister's kid, and ended up with my best friend's kid. And I was like, I wasn't collecting kids. I didn't want children. I wanted to live in a bachelor pad and be on my own, And my brother and Scorpion, we had 3 bedrooms. They each had a room, and we just, dude stuff, man, just whatever. And I ended up with a bunch of kids and ended up married. And, not complaining. Everything worked out. You just play the hand you're dealt, because that, to me, is what God wanted. If God wanted it a different way, it would have been a different way. And I fought it a little bit. I did. But I was like, it is what it is. I had to step up and do what was right. And I was still kind of, like, I wasn't doing all kinds of crap and stuff, back in the day like that. But I was still pretty, like, like I'd still smack a person up if they said something incorrect. And so these two have seen me, they seen me throw down a couple times, and I'd be like, oops, probably shouldn't have done that in front of these kids, it is what it is. I know Anthony was a teenager. He saw me beat the shit out of somebody, and, and Tony too. And I remember getting in the truck with Tony the first time it happened. I said, hey, sorry I did. Tony's like, no, that was cool. I'm like, no, that's not cool. I can't, well, it was, but it's not, don't. And Zane was the same way. He'd be like, yeah, man. Like he was the one I was worried about, because he took it like y'all could see it and be like, okay, don't do that.
Yeah.
Not him. He's like, I want to do that. I want to body slam somebody unconscious. No, we're not doing that. And, so what I finally did was I put them all in martial arts and took them to people who I knew that were my friends, and had them coach them and teach them and everything. And Zane, he was real, like, aggressive with it, he's not into the paranormal, none of this stuff, but he does his own thing. But I mean, it just, you had to kind of watch him, to regulate, like, look, dude, because he would get into fights on post, stuff. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. I only do it when I have to. And he's like, that's not what your friend said. Yeah, but that was back in the gangster days. Those days are over. You don't have to live like that. And so I did my best. And I tell you what, man, I was Zane's high school, like practically living there at his high school. Every day I was at his high school. Even Anthony had to go with me a couple times.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. We were up there all the time, man. At least with Tony, like you finished school and you didn't make me have to do a bunch of, because you were still in high school when you came to stay with us. And I was just,
I finished my senior year.
Yeah. And I told him he had to go drive back. And I gave you a vehicle and you destroyed it. And then your mom fixed it. What is that face for? What is that?
I just don't remember.
Oh, no, really? Do you remember flying through the air like Shaquille O'Neal? You don't remember that one?
No, that was like 20 years ago.
Oh my God. So his mother fixes his car, and the day that it gets fixed, right, he goes flying through the air. Yeah. True story. And then he got a Ford, what was that? Escape? It was a Ford Escape, wasn't it? And it was a nice little former police vehicle. It was nice. We bought it from our Ash. And Tony broke the axle on it in like was it even a month?
I don't remember that.
Oh, whatever, dude. And then you tore up a Crown. How do you tear up a Crown Vic engine?
I remember that one.
Yeah, locked it up.
That Crown Vic gave up on me. I loved it. It just gave up on me.
Yeah, it probably committed suicide. It's like, screw
I'm
this,
telling you,
man.
man. Tony can whoop a vehicle's ass like nobody's business, bro. He could tear up a vehicle like he'll whoop its ass.
Worse
bro.
than Street Fighter, this guy.
But hey, you know what? You want to talk? You destroyed my Silverado. So you shut up.
Yeah, but like not
All
every
y'all
vehicle
broke
I've ever
shit.
owned.
Don't even try it. And then he got mad because Zane was he drove your the other Crown Vic. Zane drove it and messed it up or something. I don't remember the whole. Y'all were always tearing up shit. Folks, they drove me nuts. They made me. I don't even look 50, but I would look 30 if it wasn't for these guys. The things that they broke and destroyed and
Pizza
tore up. Oh, he's calling you out now about the pizza.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean the thing I did when I was smoking the devil's lettuce that I grew
Let's
out
put
of?
the thing on you.
That I grew out of at the age of 19. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Don't go there. You don't want to go there.
Oh boy. Uh-oh.
Go where?
Uh-oh.
You did stupid stuff. I did stupid stuff. So what?
Yeah, it's like a flashlight to the
My
sun.
stuff-
Oh, he
Uh,
said
it's
flat
lack
to the
of-
sun.
My
not go
stuff
there,
is
man.
lack of care and maintenance. Your stuff is just pure stupidity. When I
Oh,
was smoking weed, I knew not to leave a pizza in the oven.
oh.
How high you got to be to do that?
Isn't lack of care and maintenance stupidity in and of itself? Isn't that stupid?
No, that's just laziness, and
Okay.
No,
Okay. All right.
No, you're trying to call it something.
Your
else. You're trying to
incompetence
call it
is
something
just
else,
pure
this guy.
stupidity.
This is crazy.
Mine
man.
is just slothfulness and laziness.
That's
different.
dumb. That's
You know
dumb
what?
to be lazy.
You know what?
Being
This
lazy
is
is
a good
dumb.
opportunity. If y'all throw me a few bucks here, I'll throw some juicy details in on these guys, and we really see them go at it. But you got to pay for the pleasure of my company. That didn't sound good at all, but that's the way it is. No, nobody's gonna throw me a few bones here. Help me out.
I'm still being nice. 'Cause, we all know
I
something.
can say something. Yeah, I can say something.
That's
I'm not saying anything.
That's pretty bad.
I'm gonna save it. I'm
I'm
gonna
being
save it.
respectful.
Yeah, we're being.
Not to Anthony, to someone else.
Okay. No takers? Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's it then. Oh, Matt said he's got
There we
it.
go. $10.
$10. Okay. We'll start with this one. We'll start with well, I don't know if I should just throw it out there after $10. Come on, man. $10. Come on, man. We're talking some good details here.
$10 gives you the first two words.
The first two words. It starts with Anthony. Did. How about that?
It could be any number of things.
Okay, let's put it this way. What is the worst thing that you think you did? Like the worst thing you did.
What do you think it is? Because in my head, I have something.
And like, why would I just like volunteer that? That's stupid.
Well, no, because I'm saying, like, what do you think is the worst? Folks, this is PRT After Hours, right?
do
I've
you-
done a lot of bad things.
Do you think?
Really?
Do you
Yeah.
understand
think
what
so.
we've been doing? What we're talking about, though.
I don't think you've done a lot of bad things. I
You're-
think you've done
you're
a
way
few,
better
but
than
there
all
are a
of
couple
us.
that really were bad. Working for the company, let's put it that way. How about that?
Does that give you any ideas?
Which one do you think is the worst one?
It still could be like a bunch of things.
There was, yeah.
Uh-huh.
There are a couple.
There were a couple though that were really bad.
Uh-huh.
two in particular. I can.
Yeah, there's two off the top of my head. Which one? What do you think it is? Just you. I'm asking you. I don't want Tony to say. I want you to say.
There's one you blamed on the dog, which I can't believe.
That's not even the
Miss Kitty.
Oh no, I know what he's talking about. That's not even, folks. I'm telling you right now, this is getting deep. That's not even the thing I was thinking of.
Uh-huh.
He's talking about something that's not even.
That's a third thing.
That's a whole third thing.
There's
right there.
two work-related ones and one.
two work-related. He's right. There's two work-related ones, and then one that was that. What he's talking about.
Okay, so then, like, why?
I'm saying, why don't you just say it?
Why are you trying to like get it out of me? Like, why would I volunteer something stupid that I did?
You don't got to say anything.
You don't
Just,
gotta-
you
you don't
know
gotta-
what we're talking about.
Because that way you could say, "Oh, you own up to it," but we gave you the opportunity. But obviously,
Uh-huh.
you're not a trustworthy enough person to admit to it.
I'll admit what I did. Pots, pans,
Oh my God.
flying through the air.
Yours was horrible, Tony. Tony cost us a bunch of money on that. For real, y'all both cost us a lot of money. But
Yeah.
okay, so. Oh, and Andres says put the car in reverse. Tony did that. That's one that for sure, but that happened recently. That was only like 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. I'm talking about work wise. Okay, you're not gonna say it?
Mm-mm.
That's ridiculous,
No.
man. Okay,
Wow.
all right.
You don't have to mention any
Do
details.
you want to say it? Then
I don't know because it's pretty bad. And people here have a good. This kitty thing is just more funny than
the
it
funny,
is
yeah.
anything, But
Okay,
the
so
two work ones are. Really
I'll say one of them that you did
Uh-huh.
for work since you're not gonna be a man and come clean. You went to sleep.
ahead.
You went to, but you were young though. You were like what, 18?
Off of South Congress.
At the
Oh no, you did that too. I'm
At the
like, I didn't even think about that. I'm talking about the
at
apartments.
the apartment.
Oh,
why we lost
yeah,
that
okay.
site?
Why we lost the site? Tell the people why you lost the site.
Yeah, I was smoking weed when I did that too. So there's that.
No, that wasn't. That
you
wasn't. You
blame
weren't
it all
smoking
on
no
weed.
weed at that
No,
time.
yes, I was. I was like
Not
19.
that night. You were not. No,
Yes,
you were
I
not.
was.
Okay, you did not
I was
that
doing
night.
it all the time when I was
You
19.
fell asleep that night. You did not have that at that night because
Okay,
I
so-
came in the house and it didn't smell. I know how it smells. Y'all think y'all smoke weed? Give me a
It
break.
was outside the house. I
That's
didn't do it
cute.
in the house.
No, you still. That's not a good. That's not a good
No,
excuse. Because even
man.
when I smoked outside the house, when I go inside, you smell it too.
Dude. Yeah, you can smell it. There was no weed involved in that. You could blame the pot. But
They
what did
didn't
you
have-
say the other day? You can't blame the pot. You got to take responsibility for yourself. What did you
Yeah.
do?
Okay, so I went. I went inside, and instead of doing my job, I put on Family Guy and American Dad. Which, okay, but in my defense, those shows were really good back then.
Oh my God.
Okay, like Fox was on fire.
Fox was on fire. Like, okay.
2009 with Family
was
Guy
it
and
09?
American Dad. Yeah,
Was that? Damn, that was a long time ago.
yeah, that was a lot. Yeah.
But so what happened? Tell
So-
people what happened.
So on my report for that hour, I put that I did my patrol. Everything was clear. Everything was fine. Well, it turned out that
It
like
was not.
it was very much not, because the police and EMS were on site because a guy had like a heart attack over by the mailboxes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was inside watching Family Guy and American Dad, and then I fell asleep.
And folks, this is the problem right here, right? If Anthony would have, if Fox wouldn't have been on fire, as he claims, if he would have just gotten his lazy ass up and went and walked around, now you got to admit he's an 18-year-old kid. But if he would have just, it was the easiest post we had.
No, here's the thing. Here's what's really horrible about it. All he had to do was step out onto the balcony and look left and right, and he would have probably seen it.
You would have seen a guy there laying
Okay,
there.
no, I would have had to make a patrol. Okay.
No.
Okay,
I would have.
either
The
way,
mailbox was not
let's
far.
not even. Let's not
Let's
even.
pretend here.
Hey, come on. Now we're splitting technical hairs. Technical hairs here. I get a call, and the manager at that place was a good friend of mine, and she had given us that apartment that year. I think that was 2010 when that happened, because we'd only been there for about a year. And the
Oh, you know
manager,
what? Yeah, because I had already moved.
yeah.
So
And the
it was 2010.
Mhm. So the manager there, and me and her were good friends. And Pete, he's a Jewish dude. He used to live with us. He's the one that moved up to Colorado. Okay. Pete used to live with us. Right? Pete was my roommate for like 4 years altogether, off and on, maybe 6 years because he lived with us down south too. He's been on the show talking about the weird stuff down south. And so here's what happened. The guy has a heart attack, and he would have lived if he would have had medical attention, right? But before you judge Anthony, that's what they told us. But the manager said that wasn't true because y'all remember, I'm not gonna say her name. Starts with her name's Karen. That girl, she was mean. She was mean ass. She was a liar. She said that man could have been saved, and I'm going to say the part manager's name starts with the V. She said, no, that's not true. He died instantly. Like he had a heart attack at the mailbox. He was extremely overweight and he fell, and that was it. He was gone. Like it was instant. Nothing Anthony could have found him and then been like, hey, come and get this guy. But he was a corpse. I mean, we're not laughing or making a joke about that at all. That is not funny to us. I have made that very clear before. But that guy passed away. But Anthony said, oh, everything's all good. There's nobody. And there's a man that had a heart attack and died right there. Yeah. So the EMS came, but there was nothing that they could do. And yeah. So the manager was very upset with me, and we ended up losing that account. And even though me and her were good friends, there was nothing she could do. She was like, I don't know what the hell happened here, Wolf. But, she goes, I don't know who you had. I didn't say that it was this dipshit. And, a few months later, we're at a pool party, and she's talking about what a great kid Anthony is. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's a good kid. But the guy passed away, but there's nothing you could have done anyway.
Yeah.
But Karen was lying.
The problem was I didn't put it on the report.
Yeah, Karen over there bullshitting, trying to say, that man, life died because y'all didn't do your job. And that's not what we got from the report. It was that he pretty much had a massive heart attack. He died instantly.
That's not what I was told. I was told he was lingering there and reaching for Anthony, and then Anthony was asleep inside. So that's just what I was told by Karen. I don't know. He was specifically saying, I wish there was a security guard who could help me right now. Ugh.
Oh, God. That's fucked up. Excuse my F word there. But I will say this, in Anthony's defense, you were upset about that, especially when Karen said that. And I pulled her off to the side and I said, look, you're going a little hard here because that's not true. And I confirmed it. And I just to ease Anthony's conscience because he was very upset about it. I found out that's nothing you could have done anyway. We just lost the account because you didn't find him. Now, we've had other guards. This is a true story. We had a guard who there was a person. This is true. I'm telling you. This happened years ago. We had a guard, and our field captain went completely ballistic on this person. They were on a patrol, and there was a suitcase with blood coming out of it, and they took a photo of it and then left. Turns out that this person had unalived an individual, and part of them and their clothes were inside that suitcase.
All they do is call the cops.
They didn't even call the cops.
That's all they had to do. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And another time, there was a person floating in a pool. This sounds gruesome, right? And they literally didn't even take a picture of it. But what's even worse, we ended up getting an account because another company, they found a person floating in a hot tub and they took a photo of it and walked away. Mm-hmm. And the person was unalive. Now we have that account because of their derelict of duty. Yeah. So let me tell you something. I've seen some crazy things, and I know a lot of law enforcement down here. I'm friends with a bunch of them, and they've told me some stupid, dumb shit that the police have done. And it's in Austin and the surrounding communities, and you'd be shocked at how stupid some of the shit that they've done. All right? I mean, it's just unbelievable. There was a guy that was literally I'm not going to say what county or where or whatever, but he confiscated tannerite from somebody and then put it in his car, and it blew up. Because I don't think people really comprehend what that. Yeah, fun to play with and go kill pigs or whatever, wild hogs, because they're a nuisance animal, whatever. They do that kind of stuff.
Extremely dangerous.
But it is such a dangerous thing. You don't just take it and go throw it in there and give somebody a lecture and then your car blows up. I mean, that happened years ago. But one of my buddies who works for one of the counties around here, he told me my brother that story. And I was like, Like I can imagine, like, let me take this from you. This could hurt you, and then his car blows up. Like right there, like they were walking away to the other car, and the other cop was like, "Hey, where the," you know, and nobody was killed, nobody was injured by the grace of God, you know. But and the car didn't blow up like on the movies or whatever, but it boom, could have been bad. It could have been an Explorer all over the place. It could have been real bad if he'd have put it somewhere else. But I've heard some really dumb, stupid things. And the other day, an EMS worker told me something so stupid, that they didn't even secure one of the patients into the gurney, and that person fell off while they were driving. Like, there's some people that you think that it's all hunky dory and they're supposed to do what they're supposed to do. That's not always the case. I mean, but yeah, that's one of Anthony's, not one of his better moments here. And we're not going to get into any more tonight, but we could do a series, like every episode or something. We just talk about what these dumbasses have done. I think that'd be great. Me personally, I think it would do great. I don't think y'all don't look too enthused about it.
What is this weed?
I don't mind.
Because I'm the one who knows how to do all this stuff. So like without me, it doesn't happen. See how that works?
Not true.
Well, I mean, you could try to use this guy and see how far it gets you.
You've shown me enough to where I could start the live streams.
I don't know.
Oh, trash about you.
Oh, you know what? Since you want to make threats, let me just show you something. Oh, it's called a cell phone. And I could just go live and be like, hey, folks, guess what? This is part 10 of our series about the dumb shit that Anthony and Tony have done. Oh.
Yeah, I knew it would look like crap.
Oh, shit, it's the cops. There it goes. Look like crap, but the message is still out there. People don't forget, right?
As Lord Mushu, I have nothing to hide. These people will support me.
Wow.
My fans love me.
Anyways. And as you can see on my shirt here, in honor of the dumbass twins here, there they are, right there, those two dumbasses. So, anyways, folks, we will get into eventually. We're going to get into what happened to the Anomalies family in San Antonio. We talked a little bit about it, and it was this giant incubus, like whatever. But we'll talk about what happened to them. Another kind of going back prequel thing, and we'll get into that on Wednesday. So join us on Wednesday. But before you do, remember, tomorrow is open lines. We're going to have a bunch of people come on and talk. I think open lines, we don't ever put a whole lot of people in the chat. But you know what? It's okay, because it's an essential part of the show, because people coming on and telling their encounters, like the two people there were several people, but two people in particular, like Matt was one of them, Matt Storiano. He told his encounters last Monday. And so that's going to happen. And then Tuesday, I love Tuesdays, the Patreon. Join the Patreon, because we're doing Bigfoot and the Nature of Reality. And those Bigfoot episodes have been great. I've been really, really enjoying the Patreon. It's real relaxed and it's very informative, and we just get into it. And it's just all about Bigfoot. And then on Wednesday, we'll be back and we'll talk about what happened to this family in South San Antonio before they moved to Kansas City from one nightmare to the other. But the good thing is they're all safe and sound now. Kids are grown up, for the most part, and they lived happily, not ever after, with no problems, because that's not real anywhere, but they didn't have these spiritual problems anymore. But before they found their peace, they had to fight the war. See how that works? You got to fight the war to find the peace. This is how it is. Jesus says that we're all fighting a spiritual war, right? Does anybody else have anything to say? Fridays, what are we doing Fridays? Friday, we're going to have the part two next episode with Sage Cooley.
The Sage Saga.
The Sage Sagas, right? We had the Chronicles, now we have the Sage Saga. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sage Sagas. Sage is a cool name, though. I don't recommend saying that you're native and blowing it all over your house like this woman Karina did. But Sage, yeah, we're going to get into it in Washington, because I've roamed all over that area where he's talking about when I was a young man.
That is not a good thing to do.
And so I know a lot about that area where he's at, and it's going to be cool. So Friday, that's that. And then Saturday, we may do a show on Paranormal Roundtable. We may not. I don't know for sure. We might. But for sure Saturday. What do we got going on Saturday, guys? Tell them.
Saturdays we have True Crime Paranormal. So this past
Put the
Saturday,
link to that, please.
Yeah. I think I no, that's not. So just yesterday we released the first episode of True Crime Paranormal. It's our new podcast. I'm gonna post a link to it right here at the top of the chat and pin it.
Wish we had a little a snippet we could
Let's see.
play.
There we go.
The music for it is really good.
Here's a little
We can
clip.
get into that at another time. But I think these places are a breeding ground for that, especially when you have these mentally ill homeless people there. And I think that when Ed went into this facility where he was at, I think that it probably intensified, because he had no outlet for it. So there's no telling. I mean, what if they would have known what we know now?
That's what it looks like.
But even with what we know now, people are still not going to go into the spiritual aspect of this. But I think if they would just have had people that we have now, there'd be more people going and interviewing him and maybe interviewing him from the standpoint of the spiritual side of this. Because I know another person from Wisconsin, very famous, that killed a lot of people, unalived a lot of people, Jeffrey Dahmer. And when he was in prison, he became very close with the chaplain, and
So that's True Crime Paranormal. We were talking about Ed Gein, and I'll play the intro, the very beginning of. This is how the music sounds. Tell me what you think, guys. Nelly did that. Pretty good, huh?
chainsaw. And then later on, my dad
Let's
actually
see if we.
cross some of these villains, these devious.
We can move it up a little bit. Trying to get it going forward there. It's too much.
Dealing with people who have unalived people, really, really bad people who've done really, really bad things. My point to this, as a side project, starting as a side project for Paranormal Roundtable, was to delve deep, just like we do on the other shows, into the psyche of these people, what makes them tick, but going a little bit deeper than that. Was there a paranormal explanation to this? Can the paranormal be explained, and can it be used to explain this? And that's another question in of itself.
So that right there is the intro. That's part of the intro. Yeah, check it out. That is just a little snippets from True Crime Paranormal, the first episode. The next episode, we've already done it. It'll be out on Friday. And then I believe after that, we're going to get into another case. We haven't decided exact which one, but there's between two different ones we're looking at. So, yeah, enjoy that, because that's going to be every Friday. We're going to be dropping those podcast episodes. And then at the very end, go over there and check out Nelly's song at the very end. At the very end of that.
At that place.
Let me see if I can get it to where you can hear it. Pretty good, huh? I like that. So that's the song, and it doesn't sound as good as on my phone, but that's the outro song. And when the lyrics are what happened?
People are saying they can't hear anything.
They can't hear it. That song was awesome. This is Lily is the absolute best.
No, the audio's fine.
Did you hold it up to the mic?
Yeah. Do we have that song?
No, I don't have a
Because we
download
could
here.
play it. We could play it as the outro
You
here.
just sent it as a message, right?
Yeah.
Mm. We'll play it though. We'll try to play it. We'll play it tomorrow night. You know, and that's the song. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to hear it. Doesn't
It's
make any
weird.
sense.
Mike can pick up the song.
No, you can't hear it. Stop playing it.
That's so weird.
That is weird.
Try putting.
It's like if it's right here, it's muffled.
Yeah, you can't hear it.
Wow.
It's not even muffled. You just can't hear it.
That doesn't make any sense.
Wow. That is bizarre. That's spooky. Because you can hear it loud. It's like right here in the studio, like right here. They said you could barely hear the drum beats. Well, that was a waste of time.
Maybe try like just play it, but leave the phone on the table, like to back it away some.
We're just gonna have to get
Yeah.
the file. I don't unless you can download it.
I don't know.
Send it to your messenger.
Yeah, send it to the messenger. They said it's a great song. Yeah, Scorpion just said it's a good song. Yeah. It's the outro to the show, to paranormal, to true crime paranormal. Because she made the intro and the outro, and then she's really good at what she does with the music. I can tell you that. It's pretty awesome. There you go. We're already calling, well, not us, but people are already calling it TCP, True Crime Paranormal. So yeah, PRT and TCP. And don't forget Dead Zone Transmissions. That's Nellie's channel.
Really?
Yeah, play it.
Dark deeds, footsteps in the weeds. A body not breathing, what overtook them? I hear the voices crying from the other side. The pain whispered like a slow tide. Was it impulse or reversal? Did they shift or was it normal? What was done in the dark will be brought to the light. A murder at midnight, Did they snap, or was it normal? Each one different, but always the same. A monster and a game. Was it the thrill of watching life slip away? Or was it coward they crave? Was it impulse or rehearsal? Did they snap, or was it normal? The changing shadows, the ones nobody knows, the silent graves with no names, identified in names, their families' craves, no shame, no soul, no tomorrow. Was it impulse or rehearsal? Did they snap, or was it normal? Was it impulse or rehearsal? Did they snap, or was it normal?
Well, there you have it, folks. That's the outro right there to the Turn it down. So that's the outro to the True Crime Paranormal. And so yeah, thank you for tuning in to another live stream here at PRT. Be sure and check us out every Friday or every Saturday night at what time are we dropping it? 7? 7 o'clock on Saturday. The True Crime Paranormal. So go check them out. Check us out. Check out the new channels. Check out Dead Zone Transmissions. That's Nellie's project that she's doing solo. That's what she does. She was interviewing people today. I heard her. And as always, I'll be doing what I do here with the guys. Paranormal Roundtable. All right, guys. I'll see you. We got to run. We got to go to work. Good night.
This pain of coming back to life, I feel everything, everything. When I open my eyes, your face, I'll never forget. Your horror, my pain, I'm alive, living again. I feel every stitch and every scar. Father, what's my purpose? Abandoned, left for dead, a monster. Why have you forsaken me? Accept me as I am. God, do you feel like a god, creating without thinking, no pros, no cons? You let me walk, you let me see, you let me feel. I found her, but she did not know me. I reached for her, but she recoiled in horror. I wanted to beg anything for her love. The look on her face, I want out of this place. what's my purpose? Abandoned, left for dead, a monster. Why have you forsaken me? Accept me as I am. It doesn't matter, it can't matter no more. I'm incomplete, I'm missing me. The world is darker than I remember. I wanna love her, but this heart is not mine. I wanna touch her, but these hands are not mine. I wanna tell her I love her, but this voice is not mine. Looking into her eyes, I saw how love dies. Now that's where her body lies. Father, what's my purpose? Abandoned, left for dead, a monster. Why have you forsaken me? Accept me as I am. Revenge shall be mine, I'll catch you in time. You gave me the pain of coming back to life. I want you to see me, look what you've done, what you've done. A man no more from a madman's hands. I walk alone, no part of me is home. Place me back under the stone. Father, what's my purpose? Abandoned, left for dead, a monster. Why have you forsaken me? Accept me as I am. As I am. What's my purpose?